sandwich right now. I didn't even finish it. Hello! How's it going? Oh my god! That is a lot of membership notifications. That's a lot of gifted. Oh my god, wait, hold on. Happy 2 months, everybody. Oh my, well, is it 2 months? Wait. Is that the 2 month or the 1 month? That's the 1 month, isn't it? I don't know. I think that's the 1 month, right? The 1 month since memberships has now happened. Oh my gosh, hold on. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Oh wow. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. I'm still scrolling through the membership notifications. Oh my god. There is so many. Okay, well, I'll try to find the ones that reasonably look like they happened during the stream. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, guys. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Well, hello everyone. How's the audio? How's the audio? We good? Everything sound okay? You can hear the game. You can hear me. Yeah. Very green today. Yeah, super green. Super green. Audio pity? Good! I just now realized I had an expander on my audio this whole time, which is why I was cutting out so fast, like on the previous couple streams. I did not realize that was on, so I turned it off. So hopefully there's going to be a lot of background noise, but hopefully that means less cutting out. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hello! Happy Friday! Happy Friday! Welcome! Welcome to Morrowind part whatever. Wait, I gotta finish this sandwich, guys. I got mustard. Ow! Ow! Oh no! Ow! Ow, ow, ow. It's okay, I didn't break the skin. I almost, like, cut my skin open there. Ooh. Ow. What I was going to say is... Oh yeah, when I was eating that sandwich earlier, I still have... There's a bubble in my throat. Help me! Help! My voice changer is broken again! What's happening to me? I sound like I work in accounting. Hairball. Mwah. I'm back to green. No, it's okay. I'm sure an opportunity will come up eventually. How'd you almost cut yourself? With my nails. Sounds normal, to be honest. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean sounds normal? It doesn't. It doesn't sound normal. It doesn't. Okay, what I was gonna say. I was eating a sandwich. I made a sandwich. It's mustard, salami, turkey, butter. That's it, I think. And tomato cheese. And I microwaved it. And I microwaved it after I put everything on it, like including the mustard and stuff. And then when I microwaved it, it started oozing out red liquid, like not red, pink liquid started coming off of it. Pink liquid started coming off of it, and it was making loud like while I was microwaving it in the microwave. So I'm eating it now. It tastes fine. Hopefully it's fine. Did that work? I think so. I'm eating it. Butter, but it's not toasted. No, it is toasted. It's toasted and I microwaved it. Sounds like a typical sandwich. Yeah, was a cookie in a nutshell. I can cook. I'm probably gonna make like a real meal after the stream. I just had to eat something because we know Morrowind goes for a little while. It goes. Oh no! It's soggy now! It was sitting in the mustard fluids! No air fryer? No, I'm not at my house. When I got home, I got my what did I name my air fryer? Like Ninja Fazbear, Nights at Freddy's, Fortnite. Friday Nights at Freddy's, I think was its name, or something like that. Something like that. So that's back home, so I don't have access to it. Okay. Hold on. Air fry the whale meat. I haven't eaten whale meat yet. I have it. I just haven't made it. Blah. Now I will drink a fluid. It sounds like soda, but don't worry. It's sparkling water. Can you hear it? Oh, it's got steam. It's got smoke coming out of it. I gotta inhale it. Should we have worried if it was soda? Well, soda's not good for you, so don't worry. Don't worry. I'm having a balanced meal of sandwich and I had strawberries today. My diet today was coffee, banana, strawberries, and now sandwich. And I had sandwich earlier. Yippee! Let me thank everyone. Oh my gosh, I have to look through here really quick. Oh my god. Alright. I'm gonna do the ones that happened relatively recently. Here you go. Thank you, Suddenly, for renewing. Thank you, Agade. Thank you very much. Thank you, Creating Randomness. Thank you, Sanuarte. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yitachi. Thank you, my throat. Sorry, I got too excited. Thank you, Itrala, for the gift card. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of people will be appreciating that since theirs just ran out. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Alif. Thank you, Yuzai. Thank you, Haranai. Haranai? Did I say it right? Thank you, John Severs. Thank you, Altark. Thank you, Yang. Thank you, Pony Sparkle 69. Epic. Thank you, George Vtuber. George Vtuber? Did I say it right? Thank you. It's either that or Jorge. Thank you very much. Thank you, Onyx Jaguar, for the 5 gifted. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure many people will be appreciating that. Thank you very much. Thank you, seriously. Thank you. Thank you, Cherry Noriaki. Thank you very much. Thank you. Are? Thank you, Stennis. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Munch, crunch, smack lips, crunch, munch, smacks lips more. I didn't smack my lips. I'm good. I am well behaved. I did not smack my lips. I crunch with my mouth closed. Thank you. And thank you, Onyx Jaguar, again. Wow. Whoa. Thank you very much for the gifted again. Thank you so much. Oh my god. Thank you so much. Thank you, Zildillion. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hiki. Thank you, Howdy. Or Howdy. Howdy. Thank you, Joshua Neely. Thank you very much. And thank you, Colin KZM. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Alright, I think that's all the ones that happened recently. Yeah. You should have those. Should have what? Order? Should have what? What should I have done? Guys, so yesterday was my day off. Yesterday, I went to the zoo. I went to the zoo with my aunt and uncle. But I didn't want to tell you guys before I went because there's like 3 people in all of Norway. But I went to the zoo and it was epic. I have so many pictures to show you, but I need to upload them to the computer if I'm gonna do that. Yeah, and I have to Photoshop my big fat ugly mug out of all the reflective surfaces when I like took pictures of fish tanks and stuff. But I'm so excited! It was so fun. I saw a red panda. I saw meerkats. My favorite thing was the meerkats. I saw tigers. I saw lions. I saw cheetahs. And the cheetah, literally, a cheetah just sounds like a cat. The cheetah was meowing to eat. He was like, meow, 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 meow. He was just meowing the whole time like a cat. He sounded exactly like a cat. He wasn't even like low pitched or anything. Yeah. Epic, did you pet or eat any of the animals? I did pet one. And I did eat a burger, which is beef. So and they did have cows there. So it's basically yes, I did. I petted a pig and a goat. I petted a pig and a goat. And I saw a tortoise, and I saw a red panda. I can't believe I saw a red panda. That's crazy. Cows at the zoo? Yeah, that's pretty common, I think. Cows at the zoo. And I saw an ibex, and I saw baby capybaras. I saw baby lions and baby capybaras. There's so many babies at the zoo. Guys, there was so much mating happening. I have so many pictures of mating animals that I need to show you. I don't know why they were all getting jiggy with it. I think it's because it's spring still. In Norway too, that seems unusual. Well, I'm sure, I don't think Norway's climate's so different from like red pandas. They live in like a snowy environment, don't they? Cool, thanks. That time of the year, yeah. Mozzie, you seem like the type of person to scratch your butt and sniff your fingers afterwards. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, Rev, but also, check yourself. Check yourself. Alright? That's gross. That's gross and degenerate. Alright? Gross and degenerate. What else are you gonna do when you live in a cage? Well, I guess that just depends if you live with someone else, I guess. I live in a cage. Just a rat in a cage. True to his name, at least? Yeah, I live in the wage cage. Mom. I remember being disappointed the first time I saw a red panda because I misunderstood and thought that we were going to see a giant panda. But then I figured red pandas are cute too. I've never seen... Well, this was my first time seeing a red panda. The red panda did not care. He was just sitting there eating bamboo. But the meerkats cared. The meerkats walked up. The meerkats walked up and they looked at me because I went like... I was kind of... maybe I looked like a psycho. Perhaps I looked like a psycho to the other passerby. Because I was leering over the meerkat enclosure and I was making the most psychotic noises ever. Which is why I think the meerkats were interested in me. So, like, I leaned over the meerkat enclosure and I was like... And they were like... And they walked over and they were looking at me. They were like... I love them. They also had baby meerkats and they were so insanely cute. They were way too cute. They were way too cute for their own good. I wanted to grab them. I wanted to bash the glass in and rip them out of there and take them with me. Rat boy, rat. Yeah, I love meerkats. They're so cute. I got to see it was a meet and greet with the cast of Meerkat Manor. No, they're all dead actually. That show's too old. Move me over. I'm kind of like out of the way. What else happened? And I went on a log ride and I got all wet. And I really regretted that because I was like, because it was really windy and cold. Watch out, meerkats. She's just luring you in. No, there's better things to eat. There was cows there, man. And they had ostriches and I saw a giraffe and the giraffe was filleting a fence post. I don't know why. The giraffe, I walked up to the giraffe and he sat there for 20 minutes straight. I was waiting for him to finish. He sat there for 20 minutes straight, sucking on the fence post, like literally wrapping his whole head and mouth around it, going the entire time. I don't know why he was doing that, but he just loved that fence post. He would not stop. He was just on that freaking fence post. I don't know why. As you do. Don't judge him. He's living his best life. But yeah, that's what I saw. And then the tigers growled at each other because they were eating. They're like that. They were growling. The lions were really chill though. And they were very cute. They were all hanging out together as a family. Why were you watching for so long? It's a giraffe. I've never seen a giraffe in person before. Giraffe was trying to hydrate unconventionally. But he had all the water in the world available to him. And there's trees. He just decided to chew on this fence post, I guess. He wasn't even chewing on it. He was just licking it. I don't know what happened. That's what you get if you buy the season pass? What do you mean? What do you mean? Petition for Mozamites to become Mirzucats. Mirzucat! Meerkat, hoodie. But you guys don't live in the ground, you live in trees. You're mites. You're little mites, little insects, little worms. No, you're not worms. Just kidding. Haha. Glock 3000. What does this mean? What does this mean? Mom. What else happened? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, and then, I am in bad shape. I don't look like I'm in bad shape. Well, okay, maybe I look a little sickly. But I'm not, like, big or anything, alright? So, let me clarify. I am not big or anything. But walking around Norway and going to a zoo makes me realize just how, like, low stamina I have. Dude, my hips are so bad. I would be walking up a hill and the kids are all going like, ah, and all the little kids and all the old people were like outpacing me, and I'm just like, my hips, and I'd have to like lay down or sit down because my hip burned. My hip joints burned because I haven't used my legs in months. Neat energy. So it was just literally neat, I guess. That's okay for someone who doesn't leave home often. I guess so, but it was pretty embarrassing. I also had, I had rice pudding, and I had lobska? Lobska? What do you call it? It's stew. It was stew. It was Norwegian stew. It was like chicken stew. Or, don't think it was chicken. It might have been beef. Lobskos. Yeah, lobskos. Rice pudding and lobskos. That's what I had. Yeah. It was okay. It was okay. The rice pudding was better. The lobskos was okay. Next Donegal could be for a hover round. No! I'm gonna be so American then. I'm just embracing my American roots. What can I say? Using local ingredients. Yeah, they serve you the lobskos in front of the cows. It was pretty morbid. All things considered. What else did I see? I saw a snake. It sucks because the reptile exhibit was not finished. So I couldn't... You could walk in. What happened? Hello? What happened? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Back? We back. Okay, I don't know what happened. It died. It had a moment. What the heck? Why does it say... Wait. That's so weird. It said we had like thousands of drops frames and then it reset to 0. I've never seen it do that before. I've never seen it reset drop frames before. Usually it doesn't do that. That's crazy. Oh, it wasn't just me. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's my internet because I could see chat just fine, but the thing just stopped connecting for whatever reason. Ah! What kind of snake was it? Corn snake. It was a corn snake and he was trying to escape. And I saw, they had a leopard gecko. It was a cream. It was like a white and yellow morph leopard gecko. And it was sleeping when I walked up. And he was very cute. And then he got up and started moving around. And I realized he had a neurological disorder. So I was kind of sad. Oh, thank you, Coyote. Hi, Rosie. Hope you have a good stream. Thank you very much. Thank you. A corn snake may as well have a garter. Hey, maybe that's exciting for Norwegians, you know? Maybe they don't have a lot of reptiles because it's so cold here. Did you see if there were any monkeys or bears? I did not see any bears while I was there. I did see monkeys. I saw a tamarin monkey, I believe. I saw chimpanzee. I saw a marmoset. I saw some lemurs, and I don't really remember the other monkeys. I think those are the 3 monkeys I saw. Yeah. I didn't see any bears though. Any orangutan? Oh yeah, I did see an orangutan, and I saw a spider monkey. I saw an orangutan, and he was sleeping. He had grabbed a thing of straw, and he bunched up the straw, and he put it under his head like a pillow. It was very funny. Seems like a pretty sizable zoo. Yeah, I think it's like the only one. Did they have capybaras? Yeah, I did see capybaras. They had baby capybaras too, and tapirs. And they had a bunch of pigs. I think that's it. I can't remember what else they had. Oh, and they had like, you know, red macaws and parrots and stuff. Did you see the wolves? I did not see the wolves. I wanted to see the wolves, but I ran out of time. So I went... Oh! They have something called, Captain Saboton. Captain Saboton. Captain Sabretooth. They have that. And I went and they had this display where it was all these baby pacifiers. I have no idea what it is. It was like explained to me that it's like it's like a I don't know what to call it. It's like a coming of age thing. So you throw your pacifier in. So it's like all these baby pacifiers. Are Norwegian wolves like dire wolves or something? I imagine they just have normal wolves, right? Oh man, I wish I could have gone. I didn't go to the Norwegian section at all, I don't think. I wanted to see the links, but I didn't end up being able to. Graduating from your pacifier ritual, yeah. The graduating from your pacifier. Yeah. So I went and looked at all the pacifiers. There was a lot. And I was thinking like, man, that's gotta be so filthy. Imagine laying in that. Mom. They have ranks now. Ranks? What? Was this a zoo or one of those big wildlife parks? What's the difference? Is there a difference? It was a zoo, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a zoo. Because Captain. Oh. Yeah, the ranks among the Sabretooths. Yeah, that'd be pretty gross. Yeah, rolling in pacifiers. What else did I see? And I had cotton candy, which I was very excited for because I love cotton candy. And it's very rare to get. Cotton candy is like a specific occasion type thing, so whenever I can get it, I eat it. And I had a waffle, and I had... What else did I eat? I think that was all. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Oh, I love cotton candy. I had some yesterday too. Yeah, I love cotton candy, man. It's so... it's like a funnel cake. Cotton candy is like funnel cakes. It's like a rarity when you get them, right? Also, eating carnival food seems appropriate somehow. Hey, I love funnel cake with the strawberry on it. I like funnel cake with strawberries and powdered sugar. The only problem is that funnel cake goes bad so fast. It goes stone cold inedible like instantly. So you have to eat it like super fast. You're like, I like cotton candy flavor, but I hate the actual thing. Why? How could you hate it? It's so wonderfully fluffy. I went to just don't eat the packaged stuff in stores. Cotton candy from the store is garbage. Don't eat that. Just get the fresh stuff. I went to a zoo when I was in Japan. Lots of stuff, and the park itself was really nice with pagodas and men throwing spider monkeys at passerby. Oh, he was throwing spider monkeys. What happened? Did they grab? Did the spider monkeys grab? Never tried cotton candy. Oh my god. You don't even have an excuse. They sell it here. You have to go get it. Yeah, gotta eat it hot. I'm assuming you eat funnel cake and not cotton candy. Though I've had it where it was so fresh it was a little warm. My hometown had a small fair every summer, and funnel cake hits me right in the gut with nostalgia every time. Yeah, it hits me with nostalgia and also severe cramps from the amount of oil and stuff in it. Mostly, did you ever see the video of the raccoon with cotton candy? Yeah, it dips it in the water. Did you guys ever read a book called Rascal? I think it's called Rascal, where it's about a little boy who has a pet raccoon that he takes care of, and how they would give the raccoon different things, and every time they gave the raccoon food, he would dip it in the water to clean it, and he gave him cotton candy and it dissolved too. I remember that. So anytime you give a raccoon water and food, it will try to wash it. Yeah, I love that book. I remember that. I read that one, and a book about an old dog, and another book about a dead dog, and another book about a fighting dog, and another book about werecats. Well, a lot of books about werecats. Yeah. That's hygienic, perhaps. I mean, it depends on the water, I guess. Aren't raccoons kind of ferocious? Sounds a bit stressful to have as a pet. No, only wild ones are. Raccoons are pretty lazy, I think. Like, domesticated raccoons, they have the main problem with domesticated raccoons is they get fat. They get really fat and they'll eat you out of house and home. They'll eat all your cupboards. They'll eat through your cupboards. They'll destroy everything. That's a lot of dogs and cats. Well, yeah, because I was training, because I planned to become a dog one day. Because if I was a dog, then I didn't have to go to school and I could just sleep all day. But that didn't end up happening. There was no college programs for becoming a dog near me, so I couldn't apply. Did you know Rascal got an anime? What? Really? That's so weird. Really? Makes sense, yeah. Rip the dog dream. Yeah. This dog's not going to heaven. Mom. Yeah, I'm on the become a dog track. I'll become a dog becomes a cat girl. Listen, it's because I didn't have many cats growing up. I only had 2 cats, and my dad got rid of them when I was at school one day, so I didn't get to experience them too much. I only had 2. I had them for like 2 years, and that was it. Actually, dog could actually be a profession nowadays with the state of things. So is becoming a wolf actually fulfilling the dream? No. I think becoming a wolf would not be fun. Wolves have hard lives. I read White Fang as a kid. I also read Wolves of the Beyond, and they had it pretty tough. That was a pretty brutal book. I remember in Wolves of the Beyond, they just were suffering at all times. Because, like, okay, if you don't know, Wolves of the Beyond takes place in the Guardians of Ga'Hoole world, which the Guardians of Ga'Hoole, they're the owls that wear armor and fight, and, like, they have forges and librarians and stuff, right? They're like Minecraft villagers. But then you have Wolves of the Beyond, which were the wolves that lived in the Guardians of Ga'Hoole world, but the wolves are way stupider, and also they suffer so much because they don't have opposable, like, feet. They can't do anything. So, like, I remember the entire thing is just about how, like, they're all starving to death in winter. Just constant starving to death. Constant, like, eating the marrow out of bones so that you don't die. Constant cannibalization. Like, it was very gruesome. Very gruesome. They are beautiful, though? Yeah. They're also very serious. Wolves are very serious compared to dogs. Dogs are very stupid. They're like, yay! And then wolves are like, That was apparently part of the idea when we domesticated dogs. We made them become stupider and sillier, because it worked better for us if they were stupid silly. Like, okay, it's easier to satiate your dog if he's stupid silly and loves a tennis ball than to satiate your wolf that has a bloodlust. And dependent, yeah. I like it though. I like that dogs are dependent on people. Like when a dog wants something and it looks to you, I like that. It makes the heart feel warm. Already 1 month with a grand and intoxicating time it has been with you so far. Bonjour. Thank you, Orange Robot. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you again for commissioning that artwork. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Says a lot about society, yeah, doesn't it? Doesn't it just? And now the government's doing that to produce to the populace at large. Yippee! Well, I don't think they look at us lovingly when they do it. I think they do it and then they're like, yeah. We're working dogs. We're the sled dogs that keep running until our heart explodes. We're not the lap dogs. Mom. They live better lives than wolves, so maybe stupid has its upsides. Exactly. This is why we must be stupid, guys. This is why we must be stupid. Don't be so stupid. I see some people in my chat earlier, sometimes in pre-chat, and it's so weird. I don't understand how you can watch me, but be so dumb. Like, I don't like, what? I don't know, sometimes I don't get it. I'm not gonna call anyone out by name, but some people, they're like, and they're like, what, how did you get here? My average audience member is 35. What are you doing here? How did you find this? Why are you watching a Morrowind stream? What is this? I don't get it. They just hear the squeaky noise and they see the colorful colors and they're like, wow, yippee! Spica! Welcome, Spica! Welcome! Hello, Spicos! Hello, everybody! Hi! You made them feel bad! No! I don't have any problem with you being, young or ditzy, But you know, we can all you gotta assimilate. All right, you gotta assimilate when you come into the Mother domain. All right, when you come into the peachy, what do you call it? The peachy plains. You must assimilate. You must learn the lay of the land if you wish to live within the tribe, within the Mozamite colony, the nest, the swarm. Speaker! Hello! Hello! Speaker, I was in your house today in Minecraft. I made a path to connect all of us in Minecraft so we'll be able to find each other easier. I found your house. You live in a tunnel, and I like what you're doing with the aquarium. It's very cool. My house? Oh no! Yeah! Adapt, overcome, improvise, don't wash? Exactly. No bathing. No, I mean, I did not find your house. I found, I sensed your presence above ground, but I could not triangulate your location. So what I did, I just know that happens to be your stomping grounds. Therefore, I created a sign, I made a path. In case you come by that area, you can find me. Just in case that is, because I... yeah. I did not find your house, I found redacted, exactly. Smooth. What can I say? You should come by one time. I'm making a bakery. You should come see my bakery. Okay, don't find it yet, because I don't have anything yet. But there's lots of cool stuff for you to check out. Yeah. Looks like Speaker has to relocate. No! Don't leave! If she relocates to my island, I have plenty of real estate. It's prime real estate. Alright? It's getting developed. It's getting gentrified. Speaker protection program. Peachy Island, yeah! I gotta find it later. Yeah. You gotta come. We have all sorts of stuff. We got cows, we got sheep, we got chickens, we got trees, we got cats, we have dogs. I found a cat. I know you want a cat, Speaker. I know you want a cat. I found a cat you can come tame. Whenever you're ready, I have a cat for you. I found it. It lives in a village far away. It is a, I think it's a white cat. So I hope you like white cats. Wow. What about the shroom cow? No shroom cow yet. Yeah. Hey, worked on the meerkats. It worked on the meerkats. Sounds like someone recruiting for a cult. I'm trying to lure Speaker in. I'm luring her in with treats and promises of things. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, give me a second. Is the mic peaking? Oh, there's a bubble in my throat. Is the mic peaking? I don't know. Maybe. Is it peaking? Hello? I mean, I can turn it down if you'd like. I can. I think it is a little bit. How's this? Is this better? Is this better? Like that? No? Yes, it's peaking a bit. Doesn't seem to be peaking. Do you guys have me on low or something? Can you guys hear the music in the background? Because it looks very quiet. It looks very quiet on my little thingy here. You sound far away. Yeah, there's game music. Much better, yo. Yeah, the music has been fine. I sound far away. Well, I'm not far away. I'm a little... I can't get much closer. Basically, the layout I have right now, this is as close as the mic can get to my mouth. So this is the best we can get. Music is quiet, but it is audible. Okay. Alright. I'll I'll trust your judgment. I think it was better before, to be honest. Hello! 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 Like this? Like this? This volume? Like that? I actually don't know if that changed anything. Did not change anything. Who knows? Who knows? Nah. Well, as we know, audio quality is garbo on Moses stream. There's not much I can do about it at this time. I am in a kitchen. The setup is in a kitchen, so bear with me. It will be better when I come back to America soon. This volume level right now is good. Okay. I'll keep it here. I'll keep it here. No, I won't mess with it anymore. No. Okay, we're playing Morrowind today. We're playing Morrowind. Just ear maxing if it sounds too quiet, alright? Kitchen streamer. I'm a kitchen streamer, but I'm not making food. What's up with that? What's up with that? Mosey, you could talk to us through a tin can, but so long as it's you, we wouldn't care. I care! Dude, I watch all the other... My streams are so scuffed right now. It's because I'm hiding all my assets till debut. I watch everyone else and their audio is so pristine. It's so good. I'm watching, I'm like, oh my god, they sound so professional. And I get online and I'm like, welcome to my stream today. This is Connor. I'm going to be playing Morrowind and I hope you enjoy it. And in the background, the entire, like, there's nothing I can do. Debut will be amazing. I hope so. The scuff is the charm. I'm trying. Soul. Yeah, it's soul audio quality. That's what it is. Everyone else is still pretty scuff in one way or another. I think they manage it better than I do. What you call scuff, I call soul. That's on you, though. We love it. What do you mean? One step at a time, Mozu. My throat's all hoarse from doing this silly voice. We're playing. Ow, my spine. Thank you for pictures. Yay, one. Also, thanks for using my pixel art on the schedule. Of course. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I haven't. I'm still meaning to reply to all the artwork I've gotten recently. It's just I haven't sat down and done it because I try not to give generic responses. I try to think about it when I write them down, so that's why it takes me a little while to get back to art posts, like when I reply to them and stuff. But it's wonderful. Thank you so much, seriously. You always have such wonderful colors in them. Thank you very much, Pixis. And thank you! Thank you, Centeno! Thank you so much! Thank you! Thank you very much! Thank you! I'm sure everyone's going to very much appreciate those. Thank you so much! Thank you! Oh my gosh. Very talented bunch of mites, yes. Dude, most of mites are so talented. They're so talented. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know. Some of you guys have you're really sad, right? Like you seem to really think lowly of yourselves, and I don't understand why, because you have some of the most amazing skills I've ever seen. I don't know how you get into that mindset. Like, you guys, I don't think you guys realize how freaking good some of you are. I don't think you guys realize that. You're selling yourselves short. Takes one to know one. Dude, I'm an anime girl on the internet. I'm Mozu. My nose, hold on. My eyes have been so bad lately. Sorry, I had to do my dark side Phil snort. You know when he was like, he does his little. I had to do that. That's how we feel about Mozu. No. All I do is I talk. I go with bad audio quality. For real, unironically chat reflex streamer. I'm just a politologist, no skills. Political science. What it? Moses is my idol. I'm your idol? But all I do is I go. Listen, if I'm your, I don't know what I'm the idol in. Is it like competition soap eating? Because I can promise you I'm not that good at it. I'm okay at eating soap. I'm alright at eating soap. I'm okay. bad eating soap. Shut up, idol. I don't even have an idol dress. I don't even have a cover song. I haven't done karaoke since my comeback. How modest. Wow. I want to do music, man. Oh man, I want to sing a song so bad. But it's so hard because I'm so... What the heck? Thank you, Marcus! Thank you! Thank you so much! Jeez Louise, man. Holy moly! Eh? Thank you! Thank you so much! Jesus! Jesus, guys! Okay, alright. Jeez! Thank you! Oh my god, thank you very much. Thank you. You don't have one yet. Yeah, I don't have one yet. Thank you very much. Your singing's really pretty. I want to cover steps so bad. I want to cover steps so bad. Hirote, ryogete, bam 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 bam, desha, kao ogete, itsumu zenbu, deka, kokoro ni chunbi, okay. That one, I want to cover that so bad. Bayasura, 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 the grand champion, standing here next to me. More bee singing Doko. It sucks because I feel like the songs I sing best don't fit my aesthetic. I'm more Genki and loud, but those are hard songs to cover. It's way easier for me to cover like slow songs. Slow songs. We need a Moses step gif. Step gif? Like I'm stepping on you? On it? Step who's? Bro, dad, mom? Wait, what? Oh no, step! No, step! As in Mio Honda. Mio Honda step. Wait. I don't remember. Why not both? Okay. What? Kokoro ni chunbi, okay. Kokoro ni chunbi, okay. Banaman, ja-jan. Yes, but also the other one. The other one. Step bro, step mozo. No. The NSFW already has a stepping thing. It's like a foot that's photoshopped onto like a still of me. I'm just like, and there's just a foot PNG in front of me. That's what it is. Hey man, if it makes you happy. No! Thank you, Cosmog! Yeah! Thank you, Drop! What the hell are you guys doing? Thank you! Thank you very much! Thank you, Drop! Thank you, Gothmog! Thank you very much! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, thank you! Dropping memberships today, it seems. Jeez Louise! Oh my gosh. Oh man, that means I gotta remake the membership folder. I totally forgot. Thank you guys so much. Jeez Louise, thank you, Gothmog. And thank you, Drop. Holy moly, guys. Guys, jeez. How? VTubers being gremlin and being out of the most gorgeous songs is the norm, to be honest, so sing what you like. Me not that good. Me not that... The problem is I have really bad timing, so when I go to a mixer and I sing, a lot of time my vocals have to be stretched in order to fit the timing because I have such bad timing in songs. So I end up sounding like a Vocaloid, like I don't sound like myself, basically. You won't get better if you don't try. I do try. I promise you. But also, I can't do any covers or recording for covers until I get back to America because the audio quality is so bad here. I have no insulation whatsoever. Nada. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if it is the case, but I'm pretty sure the computer here I think it messes up my mic, my audio box or something, because it constantly does not connect. I think it's messing with the audio quality in some way. I don't trust it. Yeah. Gribbles, remember to turn on the acceptance and turn off hyperchat. There should be more gifted memberships floating around than current viewers. Oh, yeah, actually, wait. There should be more for you guys to pick up. Make sure you have gift on. Make sure you have gift on. I'm also bad with timing. Standing helped me a lot. Used to do it. So standing up when you sing, you mean? Standing when I sing? We've already concluded your basement is haunted, Mozio. But I've been here... Hyperchat. I don't know what hyperchat is. Is hyperchat the thingy, the super chat? Man, oh, now I want to sing. Look what you guys have done. Look what you've done! Look what you've done! I should got an appeal on Skep. What the heck? They sent me they've already sent this to me. They sent it to me a second time. Dude, the appeals, I haven't found a single appeal I've ever accepted. I don't trust them. Okay, it's not bad, but most of them, like, don't even, it's just like, let me draw your character. Same price as usual. What's an appeal? On Scab, artists can send you a message asking you to pay them to make your character. So, like, basically what it is they message you, they send an appeal, and they say, like, hello, please let me draw your character. Pay me this much money, and I will draw them. Right? And I get a lot of those, but they're all usually like, hello, me draw your character. Thank you. And they can set the price, but a lot of the time the price is just the same as what they usually do. They can set it lower. They can be like, oh, I really love your character. I want to give you a discount if you let me draw them, right? I'll give you a discount from my usual price if you let me draw them. But a lot of them, it's just the same price as usual. So it's just like, you pay me. A lot of them, it's like, they don't have, you know, it would be one thing if I saw, like, a trend in their characters. Like, there's this one person on Skeb that commissions artwork that basically just, like, looks like me, Mozu, but green. They have, like, green Mozu. And I think, and if I saw, like, you know, an artist was picking up a lot of people that look like that, I'd be like, oh yeah, I could see why they would prefer mine. But most of the time, it's like, Buffman, dog, anime girl, symbol. It's like obviously, like, there's no preference there. You just want my money. You think I cough up the dough a lot or something? Buffman, where? We'll get there. I'm sure we're gonna see Caius this episode. Well, maybe we won't. It's dependent on if I level up enough, and he'll let me in. Don't we have quite a wait, do we have to get to level... What level do we have to get to advance in the main quest line? What level do we have? Is it 3? Is it 3 or 10? I can't remember. Let's find out, yes. Let's. Alright, so what were we doing last? I just tried to zoom... Guys, I just hit the C button because I wanted to zoom in like in Minecraft. Level 3? Okay, just level 3. On it? Do I not have a spell equipped? Oh. Oh? I do not have a spell equipped, that's why I didn't pull them out. Okay. That's fine. I'll just go to... For 1 sec, I'll just do frostbite, I guess. I love my little gloves. They're so moe. They're so moe. Addicted. No, I'm not. I only played it for like 8 hours today. Oh my gosh. Minecraft brain rot leaking in. No, I'm not brain rot. Murder mittens, dude. It's the mittens! If you look at them in this lighting, you can't see the separation between the fingers. Therefore, Higurashi? Higurashi reference? Wait. No, Higurashi was 2004, right? That's when Higurashi came out, right? It was 2004? I was gonna say, like, wait, when did... How close in release is Higurashi to Morrowind? It's all connected. What? Dirt. Wait, why is she saying dirt? Are you mind controlled? What? I don't believe I've seen a dark elf with such a grand outfit in some time.
Go ahead, Outlander.
You are a dark elf! What do you mean?
I don't know if I like this.
Is that you?
Go ahead, Outlander. What do you need?
No, she's mad. Let me in. Out of the way. She wants dirt or something.
Yes.
What is this? Imperial cult altar? Oh. Okay.
Hello, Aunt Frondunma. My name is Vala Carasso, and I run a little class for Outlanders new to Morrowind. You may find it easier to get along here if you know a little about Morrowind lore. I am also a priest, and I'd happy to talk to you about my trade.
Alright, thank you, Santano! What the heck? Dude! Thank you so much! Oh my gosh! Jeez Louise! Thank you very much! Thank you! Thank you! Jeez Louise, man! You're going wild, you're wilding out! Oh my gosh. Tascoto V8, thank you! Her voice is so fancy, yes.
Dirt, so much dirt.
Yeah, she's mad. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are so generous today. Oh my god. I don't even have the tip jar on screen. You don't even get to see the most... You know. Thank you. How is Mother so unhinged yet simultaneously so wholesome? What do you mean? I'm wholesome? I'm heroesome? Talk to you about my trade. What is your trade? Scamp? Wait, I can talk about Scamp.
The Scamp is a weak, cowardly servant of Mehrunes Dagon. Scamps may be summoned by conjurers, and their skin is sought by alchemists for its magical properties.
Okay. Tell me about Redrun.
Aldrun is considered Redrun City, even though only a few citizens actually belong to House Redrun.
Oh, she has the same thing. Your background.
I am Vala Cataraso, priest.
Guild guide. No, that's just telling me about teleportation. Your trade! She said she'd be happy to tell me about her trade, but she does not have an option. What the heck?
She says, I'm happy to tell you about my trade.
And then you cannot ask her for it. What do you do with the Imperial Cult Altar? It's giving me an option to interact. What is this? Withershins. It's a book? Oh, it's an expensive book. I'm going to interact with the cult altar. Oh, I can donate to it. Imperial Cult Altar? Wait, if I'm giving a donation to the... Money. Wait, if I give a donation to this, who am I praying to? This is just Cult Altar?
Go ahead, Outlander. What do you need?
Yeah, mama. You can read the book without stealing it.
There's something you need.
Move! Yes, I need you to get out of my flipping way. Ugh. Alright, here we go.
Yes.
Oh! My restoration skill increased. Hey, thank you, Swatero. I'd like to use this opportunity to say two things. Blizzard's the best orange cat of all time, and I had the best shawarma of my life today. I've never had shawarma today, or falafel. I've never had those. I want to try them. That's the Imperial Cult, Garfield, and Shambles. Dang, haven't had shawarma in a while. I have never had shawarma before. It's good stuff? Oh man, I want to try it. Alright, time for reading. Are you ready for reading? Mike, get close to my mouth. Are you ready for reading time? Get cozy. Alright.
Wither shins. Alright, sit, Kazaga. Why don't you want to talk? Zaki put down his mug of mead and just stared at his wife for a few seconds. Finally, grudgingly, because everything I have a conversation, darling, it flows in alphabetical order.
Doesn't he mean every time?
Because every time I have a conversation, darling, it flows in alphabetical order. Just like I told you, I think the only way to stop it is to not talk at all.
Couldn't you just be imagining this? Said Kazaga patiently. It wouldn't be the first time you had an insane paranoid delusion. Remember when you thought the royal battle mage of Blackmarsh was hiding behind every tree with a rape kit, intent on making you, a middle-aged, fat, balding tailor, into his personal sex slave? You don't need to be ashamed, but it's Shil Gorath's way to make us all a little crazy sometimes. If you go to the healer...
Damn it, Kazaga!
Snarled Zaki and stomped out, slamming the door behind him. He nearly collided with Siyasat, his neighbor. Excuse me, she said to Zaki's back. He clamped his hands over his ears as he stormed down the street, turning the corner to his tailor shop. His first customer was waiting out front, smiling widely. Zaki tried to keep his temper under control and took out his keys, returning the customer's smile. "Fine day," said the young man.
"Gods!" hollered Zaki,
sending the young man flying with a well-placed punch and dashing away. As much as he hated to admit that Kazaga was right, it was evidently time, once again, for one of the healer's herbal cocktails. Tarsu's temple to health, mental and physical, was several streets north, an impressive obelisk. Harka, the chief herbalist, met him before he came in the hall.
"How are we today, Sasaki-san?" "I need to make an appointment with Tarsu,"
said Zaki in his calmest voice.
"Just one moment. Let me see how his schedule looks,"
Harka said, looking over a scroll.
"Is this an emergency?" Kind of,"
said Zaki, and slapped his head. Why couldn't he say yes, or absolutely, or sure?
"Let's see,"
said Harka, frowning.
"The best I can do is next Midas. Would that work for you?" "Midas!" cried Zaki. "I'll be a complete psychotic by Midas. Isn't there anything earlier?"
He knew what the answer would be before she said it. There was no alternative. In a way, he had forced the response. If only he had kept the conversation going until...
No,
said Harka.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to make the appointment?
Zaki walked away, gritting his teeth. He wandered the streets, his head down to avoid all conversations, until he looked up and discovered that he had walked all the way to the wharf. A sweet breeze was blowing along the water, and he took several deep breaths until he felt almost normal. When his temper cooled, he could think again. What if this alphabetical conversation wasn't a delusion at all? What if what he felt wasn't paranoia, but acute awareness? He knew it was the classic dilemma. Am I crazy, or is there really something weird going on? Across the road was a shop called Paradox.
Shut up. Paradox, shut up. This is dumb. This is stupid.
Featuring a display of herbs, crystals, and vapors trapped in orbs. The sign in the window read, "Mystical Consultation Sunrise to Noon." It was worth a shot, thought Zaki, though Zaki was dubious. The only people who generally came down the wharf for healing were stupid adventurers who didn't know any better. incense burned in copious billows of pink and gold, obscuring and then revealing the clutter within. Digit death masks glowered down from the walls. Smoking censers hung by chains from the ceiling, and the floor was a maze of bookshelves. At a well-worn table in the back of it, a small man wearing a headdress was tabulating a young lady's purchases.
Okay, said the man. Your total comes to 57 gold pieces. I threw in the restorative scale conditioner for free. Just remember, the candle should be lit only after you invoke Gorflox the Unholy, and Mandrake Root does its best in partial shade.
The customer gave a quick, shy smile to Zaki and left the store.
Please, help me, said Zaki. Every conversation I hear and get involved in seems to be arranged alphabetically. I don't know if I'm going insane or if there are some kind of bizarre forces at work. To be honest with you, I'm normally a skeptic when it comes to your type of business, but I'm at the end of my rope. Can you do anything to make this madness end? Quite a common problem, actually,
said the man, patting Zaki on the arm.
When you get to the end of the alphabet, do conversations then go to reverse alphabetical order, or start at the beginning of the alphabet? Reverse alphabetical order, said Zaki, and then corrected himself. Damn it! I mean, it starts from the beginning, all over again. I'm in agony. Can you call on the spirits and tell me, am I insane? Sariki,
said the man with a reassuring smile.
I don't have to. You're quite sane. Thank you, said Zaki, frowning. By the way, my name's Zaki, not Sariki. Unusually close, eh? Said the man, patting Zaki on the back. My name's Octoplasm. Follow me, please. I think I have just what you need.
Octoplasm led Zaki down the narrow corridor behind the desk. The two men pushed past dusty cabinets filled with strange creatures and liquids, past heaps of Neolithic stones, past stack after stack of mouldering leather-bound books, into the dank heart of the store. There he picked up a small, squat, cylindrical drum and a book, and handed them to Zaki.
Vampirism, Daedric Possession, and Withershin Therapy.
Oh, that wasn't him. It was the other one.
Vampirism, Daedric Possession, and Withershin Therapy,
said Zaki, squinting his eyes to read the book in the gloom.
What in oblivion does this have to do with me? I'm not a vampire. Look at this tan. And what's Withershin Therapy, and how much will it cost me? Withershin's from the old Cyrodiilic Withersinks, which means backwards,
said Octoplasm in a serious tone.
It's the art of reversing the direction of things in order to gain access to the spirit world, and break curses, cure vampirism, and trigger all manners of apotropaic healing. You know the story about the guy who was told that slaughterfish live in hot water, so he said, well, let's boil them in cold water? Xenophis,
said Zaki instinctively, his brother having taken a rather esoteric upper-level course in Cyrodiilic philosophy as an elective at the Imperial College 31 years before.
Oh, God. That was a long time ago.
And immediately wishing he hadn't. And what do you do with the cylindrical thingy?
Octoplasm lit a candle and held the object over it so Zaki could see more clearly. All along the cylinder were narrow slits where Zaki peered within them. He saw a succession of old black and white drawings of a naked man leaping over boxes, one frame after the next.
You spin it like so,
said Octoplasm, slowly whirling the device clockwise so the man within leapt over the boxes over and over again.
It's called a zoetrope. Pretty neat, eh? Now you take it and start spinning it counterclockwise, and while you're doing it, read this incantation I've marked in the book.
Zaki took the zoetrope and began spinning it counterclockwise over the candle, so the little naked man within seemed to bound backwards over the boxes. It took a little coordination and concentration to keep whirling at a steady pace, but gradually the man's awkward and jerky back jumps became more and more fluid, until Zaki could no longer see the individual frames flipping. It looked just like a little humanoid hamster on an endless reverse treadmill.
Hamsters exist in Morrowind? They have hamster.
While he continued to spin the zoetrope with one hand, Zaki took the book in the other and read the underlined passage.
Zoetrope counterspin, counterspin, counterspin. Pull my life from the rut that it's in. I invoke the goddess Boethia, Kinnereth, and Dresus, to invert my potentially metaphysical crisis. My old life may have been rather pointless and plain, but I dislike the prospect of going insane. Make the pattern reverse by this withershin. Zoetrope counterspin, counterspin, counterspin.
As he chanted the spell, Zaki noticed that the little naked man in the zoetrope began to look more like himself. The mustache vanished and the hairline receded. The man's waistline expanded and the buttocks sagged to the shape and texture of half-inflated balloons. Scales approximating his own Argonian pattern appeared. The man began to trip as he bounded backwards over the boxes, taking bigger breaths and sweating. By the time Zaki reached the end of the incantation, his twin was clutching his chest and tumbling end over the boxes in free fall. Octoplasm took the zoetrope and the book from Zaki's hands. Nothing seemed to have changed. No thunder had rumbled. No winged serpents had sprung out of Zaki's head. No fiery explosion. But Zaki felt that something was different. Good different. Normal. At the counter, when Zaki pulled out his satchel of gold pieces, Octoplasm merely shook his head.
Our treatments, radical such of effects term long, the what sure we can't we naturally change no.
Feeling the first relief he had felt in days, Zaki walked backwards out of the shop and down the road to his shop.
Oh my god. Okay. Alright, great. Great. Morrowind has a couple of these gotcha stories. Yeah, I read a different one too. There was another one I read that was like the... What a twist! What a twist! What a twist! Oh my gosh.
Is there something you need?
No! Leave me alone! What if they all started talking backwards after that? What if it was like... What if they did that, huh? What if they were all talking backwards? That would be crazy. And by God, I was mesmerized by you reading that book. I love reading. Reading is epic. Reading makes your brain bigger. It engorges your brain vessels. Did you read the one with the thieves sneaking into the castle? Yeah, And there was, yeah, Lady Trest, yeah. That's the one I read. Lady Trest. It's like, and then when the clock struck 12, Lady finally found out what her name meant backwards, or something like that. Lady Dessert! Lady the Surge! They were talking backwards! Oh my god. I buy a voice pack of Mosey reading all parts of Dance and Fire and Argonian account. Whoa! I need to find these books then. You want me to read Dance of Fire and Argonian account? Do you sell me books? No, you don't. You don't barter. You don't barter.
I find you most interesting right now. Please go ahead.
I know. Barter. Do you sell books? No, only scrolls. We can go. I can go get a book so I can read it for you. You want me to go get
I can tell.
Argonian account and Dance in Fire. Where am I? Okay. Let's get going then. I want you to read a different Argonian book. Oh, come on. One joke. One joke. One joke. Alright, let's go to, let's go to Vivec then. Or, wait. Yeah. We'll go to Vivec and we'll go to the bookstore and we will,
Hello there. How are you?
Yeah, mama. We'll go to the bookstore. We'll get a book. Oh. Well, I can probably find Argonian account, right? Or is that... do they not sell that here? Oha Mozil, oha. Okay, wait. Let's go get books. Hurrah! Where's the door out of here? Is this it? No, I just... oh my god. Why is my sense of direction is so messed up today? Which is funny because it was so good in Minecraft, alright? Okay, I had really good navigation today. The Wraith's Wedding Dowry. How do I get out of here? Help! Help, I'm trapped! Which way? Turn up here. I'm assuming. This is the eatery area. This way? Oh, it's your place. How do you get out of here? You're just readjusting, yes. Panda is good too. Help! I'm so stupid! What do I do? How do you get out of here? What the heck? There was no way out here, right? Oh! Hello!
I'm very happy to make you.
Yes, I found it. Oh my gosh. That was so confusing for no reason. Can you steal stuff as easily in Morrowind as you could in Oblivion? I don't know. I mean, you can't put like buckets on people's head or anything. Down the stairs and up the stairs. Obviously, Vivec is a nightmare. I wish it was easier to traverse. I understand the lore idea behind having a confusing city, because it's like, oh yeah, the city would be confusing to traverse, but also it's not fun. I think there's better ways to have gone about that. Yeah, you can't put buckets on people's heads. It's harder in Morrowind than Oblivion. Yeah.
Not now, Outlander. Head on.
Head on.
How do you... will ordinators always hate you? Oh my gosh.
You say you've been attacked by assassins. From your description, it sounds like the work of the Dark Brotherhood. I'm not sure who you angered, but stay away from me. I suppose this should be officially reported, though. Speak to Abellas, Matthias, and Ebonheart about this matter.
Oh wow, I really just walked up and was like, help! I've been attacked by assassins! Well, I kind of wish I didn't report it. I wish they still kept trying to kill me, because they have good armor. What is it, Yokata's books? Where is he? They'll keep coming, don't worry, good. Could use the change. Could use the spare coin. Out of my way! I'm trying. There you go. I'm free. He's not in here. I think they're in the lower wasteworks. Can I get to the lower wasteworks from here?
You're here for trouble.
Wait, who said that?
Bargain for.
Who said
Yes, Outlander, what do you want?
Did she say sweet moon sugar? Is there a Khajiit up here?
What do you want?
Why'd you say it like that? That was very cute. Can you do it again? Do it again. I like that. Come on. Please. Roar. Yeah, she really just roared at me. Is it because it sounds like a purr? Is that why they do it? Speak! It's here on the west end of the lower wasteworks. Okay. Hello? Anybody home? Hello? No. She's... She got stage fright. I put her on the spot. Careful, this kitty has claws. Most kitties have claws. If a kitty doesn't have claws, that's a bad sign.
Not now, Outlander.
Yo, Basha's books. This isn't it. Yo, Basha's books has a... It's like in an L corner. L Yo Basha's books. In. I found it. See, I remember where his is. His is. Excuse me.
Watching you. Scum.
Wait, can't I just read all of these without taking them? Isn't it? I don't think there's any skill books. Well, there might be a good Consultations of the Prayer Frontier Conquest. Doors of the Spirit, the Real Baron Side. They have the entire collection here. The Book of Daedra, Annotated Annuad, Origin of the Mages Guild, The House of Troubles, Grasping Fortune, Progress of Truth, Brief History of the Empire, The Changed Ones, The Cantatas of Vivec, Brief History of the Empire, 4 volumes, The Yellow Book of Riddles, Words of Clan Mother Hanisi, Karam's Heart of Anaquina. I want to read the Book of Riddles. Tatas of Vivec. The Tatas of Vivec. There's a couple of skill books, I think. Just look for high-priced ones. Are you playing Vanilla Mar, or do you have any quality of life mods? I'm using OpenMW. That's the only thing I have. I don't have any mods other than MW. I'm using the OpenMW. Yeah. Kiram's Heart is a skill book. Ooh. Where is it? Oh! You're such a nerd! I can't believe you knew that just by looking at it. You must have played a lot of Morrowind. Oh! Interview with Tapstriist, Volume 18, Karam's Heart of Anaquina, by Levilis Paris, professor at Imperial University. Oh gosh, this looks like it's a hard one to read. This one looks like it's a hard one to read. You can tell generally by the value of the book. Oh. What? What do you mean cute? What? Tapistress. Interviews with Tapistress, Volume 18, Karam's Heart of Anaquina, by Levilis Paris. Professor at Imperial University, right? Is that good? Is that good? Did I say it right this time? This is hard. This one will be a hard one to read. I think, because I see a lot of original words. You call me a nerd, but this book is full of nerd words. Well, let's get nerdy with it. Let's get nerd style. Down and dirty nerd style or whatever.
Contemporary with Makwamat Lucine, interviewed in volume 17 of this series, is the Khajiit Karam, whose tapestries have been hailed as masterpieces all over the Empire for nigh on 30 years now. His 4 factories located throughout elsewhere make reproductions of his work, but his original tapestries command stellar prices. The Emperor himself owns 10 Karam tapestries, and his representatives are currently negotiating the sale of 5 more. The muted use of color contrasted with the luminous skin tones of Karam's subjects is a marked contrast with the old style of tapestry. The subjects of his work in recent years have been fabulous tales of ancient past, the gods meeting to discuss the formation of the world, the Chimera following the prophet Relof into Morrowind, the wild elves battling Morehouse and his legions at the White Gold Tower. His earliest designs dealt with more contemporary subjects. I had the opportunity to discuss with him one of his first masterpieces, the Heart of Anaquina, at his villa in Orcrest. The Heart of Anaquina presents an historic battle of the 5-year war between Elsewhere and Valenwood, which waged from 3E. It's the same E he uses in Elsewhere, so I'm assuming it's E. Ranged from 3E 394 or 3E 395, depend on what one considers to be the beginning of the war, until 3E 399. In most fair accounts, the war lasted 4 years and 9 months, but artistic license from the great epic poets added an additional 3 months to the ordeal. The actual details of the battle itself, as interpreted by Karam, are explicit. The faces of 120 wood elf archers can be differentiated one from the other, each registering fear at the approach of the Khajiit army. Their hauberks catch the dim light of the sun. The menacing shadows of the Elsewhere battle cats loom on the hills, every muscle strained, ready to pounce in command. It is not surprising that he got all the details right, because Karam was in the midst of it, as a Khajiit foot soldier. Every minute part of the Khajiit medium-weight armor can be seen in the soldiers in the foreground, the embroidered edging and striped patterns on the tunics, each lacquered plate on loose-fitting leather in the Elsewhere style, the helmets of the cloth and fluted silver.
Karam does not understand the point of plate mail,
said Karam.
It is hot for one, like being both burned and buried alive. Karam wore it at the insistence of our Nord advisors during the Battle of Zelinin, and Karam couldn't even turn to see what my fellow Khajiit were doing. Karam did some sketches for a tapestry of the Battle of Zelinin, but Karam finds that to make it realistic, the figures came out very mechanical, like iron golems or Dwemer centurions. Knowing our Khajiit commanders, Karam would not be surprised if giving up the heavy plate was more aesthetic than practical.
Elsewhere lost the Battle of Zelinin, didn't she?
Yes, but Elsewhere won the war, starting at the next battle, the Heart of Anaquina,
said Karam with a smile.
The tide turned as soon as we Khajiit sent our Nordic advisors back to Solitude. We had to get rid of all the heavy armor they brought with us, and find enough traditional medium armor our troops felt comfortable wearing. Obviously, the principal advantage of the medium armor was that we could move easily in it, as you can see from the natural stances of the soldiers in the tapestry. Now, if you look at this poor, perforated cataract who just keeps battling on in the bottom background, you can see the other advantage. It seems strange to say, but one of the best features of medium armor is that an arrow will either deflect completely or pass all the way through. An arrowhead is like a hook made to stick where it strikes, even if it doesn't pass through. A soldier in medium armor will find himself with a hole in his body and a bolt on the other side. Our healers can fix such a wound easily if it isn't fatal, but if the arrow still remains in the armor, as it does with heavier armor, the wound will be reopened every time the fellow moves. Unless the Khajiit strips off the armor and pulls out the arrow, which is what we had to do at the Battle of Zelenin, a difficult and time-consuming process in the heat of battle, to say the least.
I asked him next, is there a self-portrait in the battle?
Yes,
Garam said, with another grin.
you see the small figure of the Khajiit stealing the rings off the dead Woodolf? His back is facing you, but he has a brown and orange striped tail like Karim's. Karim does not say that all stereotypes about Khajiit are fair, but Karim must sometimes acknowledge them.
A self-deprecating style in the self-portraiture is also evident in the tapestries of Ranulf Ook, the next artist interviewed in volume 19 of this series.
The perfect intonation of yes. Then, without even reading the next page of him grinning, Mosey really gets in character. Why? Yes. I have to assume. I understand what they're going for. I can feel the soul in it. What a story, Mozu. I relate. Karim's base, yeah. He's like, not all stereotypes are true, but for me they are. I am very stereotypical Khajiit. And after all this exposition, they removed medium armor entirely the very next game. I can't believe it. I like the that's a very good explanation as to why it makes it a better attribute, a better choice. They give it a good lore reason. Because I'm sure a lot of people ask the question like, well, if you have heavy and you have light, what's the point in medium? If you want fast, then just go light, and if you want protection, just then go heavy. This at least explains to people a little bit why it has significance. I like that. Lore reasons medium armor was removed. The Empire got all their armoring advice from Skyrim after the Third Era. 3E is Third Era, by the way. Ah, yeah, 3E. Okay, Third Era, that makes sense. Grasping Fortune. Ah, it's about House Halau. Expensive books, Toko. I guess they had to be smart and not put too many, skill books in here. Otherwise, they would have a problem. I already read this one, I suppose. Is this here because... Didn't I need the Progress of Truth before? Is this here so that if I wanted to steal it, I could have? Katatash. I'll Vivec. Not an actual lore reason, but it'd be cool if it was. That they got all their advice from Skyrim? Oh. On Oblivion. Interesting. Pilgrim's Path. Reflections on cult worship. Dance and Fire! They're all here! Do you guys want me... Do you want me to read the entirety of A Dance in Fire? Because the entire collection is here. The entire collection of A Dance in Fire is here. I suppose we should read, perhaps we should read a different one before we crack that one open. Up to you, gamer. Book of Max! I'm gonna be so smart. Na, 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 na. Any more books? Na, 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 na. Dang, this is worth a lot. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Madness of Pelagius. That sounds interesting. Wow.
You wish to speak?
No. I just want to see if you have any more skill books, okay? What about this one? Homilies of Blessed Amalexia. Alright. Dwemer Law. Okay. Let's go. Let's freaking go! My acrobatic skill. Oh my god, wait, there's so many of these. Wait. Does the next volume also increase it? Oh my gosh! Hacks. I'm so powerful now. Alright, let's read. A Dancing Fire by Joaquin Jars. Scene: the Imperial City, Cyrodiil. Date: 7 Frostfall. 3rd Era, 397. Yeah. I'm gonna read this in woman voice, I think. Even though it's probably not a woman, I'm gonna do it just because, yeah, we have a lot of reading to do. Okay. Alright, here we go.
It seemed as if the palace had always housed the Atreus Building Commission, the company of clerks and estate agents who authored and notarized nearly every construction of any note in the empire. It stood for 250 years, since the reign of Emperor Magnus, a plain-fronted and austere hall on a minor but respectable plaza in the Imperial City. Energetic and ambitious middle-class lads and ladies worked there, as well as complacent middle-aged ones like Decumus Scotti. No one could imagine a world without the commission, least of all Scotti. To be accurate, he could not imagine a world without himself in the commission.
Lord Atreus is perfectly aware of your contributions,
said the managing clerk, closing the shutter that demarcated Scotty's office behind him.
but you know that things have been difficult.
Yes, said Scotty stiffly.
Lord Vanek's men have been giving us a lot of competition lately, and we must be more efficient if we are to survive. Unfortunately, that means releasing some of our historically best but presently underachieving senior clerks. I understand. Can't be helped. I'm glad that you understand,
smiled the managing clerk, smiling thinly and withdrawing.
Please, have your room cleared immediately.
Scotty began the task of organizing all his work to pass on to his successor. It would probably be young Imbrelius who would take on most of it, which was as it should be, he considered philosophically. The lad knew how to find business. Scotty wondered idly what the fellow would do with the contracts for the new statue of St. Alessa, for which the Temple of the One had applied. Probably invent a clerical error, blame it on his own predecessor, Decumus Scotty, and require an additional cost to rectify.
I have correspondence for Decumus Scotty of the Atreus Building Commission.
Scotty looked up. A fat-faced courier had entered his office and was thrusting forth a sealed scroll. He handed the boy a gold piece and opened it up. By the poor penmanship, atrocious spelling and grammar, and overall unprofessional tone, it was manifestly evident who the writer was. Leotis Judas, a fellow clerk some years before, who had left the commission after being accused of, unethical business practices. Dear Shakoti, I imagine you always wonder what happened to me, And the last place you would have expected to find me is out in the woods. But that's exactly where I am. If you are smart and want to make a lot of extra gold for Lord Atreus and yourself, you'll come to Valenwood too. If you haven't or have been following the politics here lately, you may or may not know that there's been a war between the Boschmar and their neighbors elsewhere over the past 2 years. Things have only just calmed down, and there's a lot that things need to be rebuilt. Now I've got more business than I can handle, but I need someone with clout. Someone with representing a respected agency to get the quill and the ink. That someone is you, my friend. Come and meet me at the Withered Pascal's Tavern in Philistine. I'll be there at 2 and you won't be sorry. Do this. P.S. Bring a wagon load of timber if you can. Bye-bye.
What do you have there, Scotty?
Asked a voice. Scotty started. It was Imbralius, his damnably handsome face peeking through the shutters, smiling in that way that melted the hearts of the stingiest of patrons and the roughest of stonemasons. Scotty shoved the letter in his jacket pocket.
Personal correspondence.
He sniffed.
I'll be cleared up here in just a moment. Oh, I don't want to hurry you,
said Imbralius, grabbing a few sheets of blank contracts from Scotty's desk.
I've just gone through a stack, and the junior scribe's hands are all cramping up, so I thought you wouldn't miss a few.
The lad vanished. Scotty retrieved the letter and read it again. He thought about his life, something he rarely did. It seemed a sea of gray with a black insurmountable wall looming. There was only one narrow passage he could see in that wall. Quickly, before he had a moment to reconsider it, he grabbed a dozen of the blank contracts with a shimmering gold leaf. Atreus Building Commission by appointment of His Imperial Majesty, and hid them in the satchel with his personal effects. The next day, he began his adventure with a giddy lack of hesitation. He arranged for a seat in a caravan bound for Valenwood, the single escorted conveyance to the southeast, leaving the Imperial City that week. He had scarcely hours to pack, but he remembered to purchase a wagon load of timber. It will be extra gold.
Oh, it'll be extra gold to pay for a horse to pull that,
frowned the convoy head.
So I anticipated,
smiled Scotty with his best Imbralius grin. 10 wagons in all set off that afternoon through the familiar, idyllic countryside, past fields of wildflowers, gently rolling woodlands, friendly hamlets. The clop of the horses' hooves against the sound-stoned road reminded Scotty that the Atreus Building Commission constructed it. 5 of the 18 necessary contracts for its completion were drafted by his own hand.
Very smart of you to bring that wood along,
said a grey-whiskered Breton man next to him on his wagon.
You must be in commerce. Of a sort,
said Scotty, in a way he hoped was mysterious, before introducing himself.
Dick, you Miss Scotty. Griff Malum,
said the man.
I'm a poet, actually a translator of old Bosmer literature. I was researching some newly discovered tracts of Minoria Pleba 2 years ago, when the war broke out and I had to leave. You are no doubt familiar with Minoria, if you're aware of the Green Pact.
Scotty thought the man might be speaking perfect gibberish, but he nodded his head nonetheless.
Naturally, I don't pretend that the Minoria is as renowned as the Meledian, or is as ancient as the Nadsir Gaul, but I think it was a remarkable significance to understanding the nature of the prolific Borsma mind. The origin of the wood elf aversion to cutting their own wood or eating any plant material at all. Yet paradoxically, their willingness to import plant stuff from other cultures. I feel can be linked to a passage in the Morrowind.
Malin shuffled through some of his papers, searching for the appropriate text. To Scotty's vast relief, the carriage soon stopped to camp for the night. They were high on a bluff over a grey stream, and before them was the great valley of Valenwood. Only the cry of seabirds declared the presence of the ocean. To the bay to the west, here the timber was so tall and wide, twisting around itself like an impossible knot begun eons ago to be impenetrable. A few more modest trees, only 50 feet to the lowest branches, stood on the cliff at the edge of the camp. The sight was so alien to Scotty, and he found himself so anxious about the proposition of entering the wilderness that he could not imagine sleeping. Fortunately, Malin had supposed he found another academic with a passion for the riddles of ancient cultures. Long into the night, he recited Bosmer verse in the original and his own translation, sobbing and bellowing and whispering wherever appropriate. Gradually, Scotty began to feel drowsy, but a sudden crack of wood snapping made him sit straight up. What was that? Malin smiled.
Well, I like it too. A convocation in the melody of the moonless speculum, a dance of fire. There are some enormous birds up in the tree around, whispered Scotty,
Pointing in the direction of the dark shapes above.
I wouldn't worry about that,
said Malin, irritated with his audience.
Now listen to how the poet characterizes Hermea Mora's invocation in the 18th stanza of the 4th book.
The dark shapes in the trees were some of them perch-like birds, others slithered like snakes, and still others stood straight up like men. As Malin recited his verse, Scotty watched the figures softly leap from branch to branch, half gliding across impossible distances for anything without wings. They gathered in groups and then reorganized until they had spread to every tree around the camp. Suddenly, they plummeted from the heights.
Mara! Cried Scotty. They're falling like rain! Probably seed pods, Malin shrugged, not turning around. Some of the trees have remarkable...
The camp erupted into chaos. Fires burst out in the wagons. The horses wailed from mortal blows. Casks of wine, fresh water, and liquor gushed their contents to the ground. A nimble shadow dashed past Scotty and Malin, gathering sacks of grain and gold with impossible agility and grace. Scotty had only one glance at it, lit up by a sudden nearby burst of flame. It was a sleek creature with pointed ears, wide yellow eyes, mottled pied fur, and a tail like a whip.
Werewolf!
He whimpered, shrinking back.
Cut the rat!
Groaned Malin.
Much worse, conceited cousins or some such thing, come to plunder. Are you sure?
As quickly as they struck, the creatures retreated, diving off the bluff before the battle mage at night. The caravan's escorts had fully opened their eyes. Malin and Scotty ran to the precipice and saw 100 feet below the tiny figures dash out of the water, shake themselves, and disappear into the woods.
Werewolves aren't acrobats like that,
said Malin.
They were definitely Catherine. Bastard thieves! Thanks Stender they didn't realize the value of my notebooks. It wasn't a complete loss.
Book 2.
It was a complete loss. The Catharat had stolen or destroyed almost every item of value in the caravan in just a few minutes' time. Takuma Scotty's wagon load of wood he had hoped to trade with the Bosmer had been set on fire and then toppled off the bluff.
His clothing and contracts were tattered and ground into the mud of dirt, mixed with spilt wine. All the pilgrims, merchants, and adventurers in the group moaned and wept as they gathered the remnants of their belongings by the rising sun of the dawn.
I'd best not tell anyone that I managed to hold on to my notes for my translation of the Menoriad Playbar,
whispered the poet Griff Malon.
They'd probably turn on me.
Scotty politely declined the opportunity of telling Malon just how little value he himself placed on the man's property. Instead, he counted the coins in his purse. 34 gold pieces. Very little indeed for an entrepreneur beginning a new business.
Hoy!
Came a cry from the wood. A small party of Bosma... Hoy! A small party of Bosma emerged from the thicket, clad in leather mail and bearing arms.
Friend or foe? Neither,
growled the convoy head.
You must be the Cyrodiils. Oh, you must be the Cyrodiils,
laughed the leader of the group, a tall, skeleton-thin youth with a sharp, vulpine face.
We heard you were en route. Evidently, so did our enemies. I thought the war was over,
muttered one of the caravan's now ruined merchants. The Bosmer laughed again.
No act of war, just a little border enterprise. You are going on to Fallon, Nesty? I'm not. The convoy shook his head. As far as I'm concerned, my duty is done. No more horses, no more caravan, just a fat profit lost to me.
The men and women crowded around the man, protesting, threatening, begging, but he refused to step foot in Valenwood. If these were the new times of peace, he said, he'd rather come back for the next war. Scotty tried a different route and approached the Bosmer. He spoke with an authoritative but friendly voice, the kind he used in negotiations with peevish carpenters.
I don't suppose you'd consider escorting me to Falinishti. I am a representative for the important Imperial Agency, the Atreus Building Commission, I'm sure you've heard. Here to help repair and alleviate some of the problems the war with Khajiit brought to your province. Patriotism! 20 gold pieces. And you must carry your own gear if you have any left,
replied the Bosmer. Scotty reflected that negotiations with peevish carpenters rarely went his way either. 6 eager people had enough gold on them for payment. Among those without funds was the poet, who appealed to Scotty for assistance.
I'm sorry, Grief. I only have 14 gold left over. Not even enough for a decent room when I get to Falinesti. I really would help you if I could,
said Scotty, persuading himself that it was true. The band of 6 and their Bosmer escorts began the descent down a rocky path along the bluff. Within an hour's time, they were deep in the jungles of Valenwood. A never-ending canopy of hues, of browns and greens obscured the sky. A millennia's worth of fallen leaves formed a deep, wormy sea of putrefaction beneath their feet. Several miles were crossed wading through the slime. For several more, they took a labyrinthian path across fallen branches and low-hanging boughs of giant trees. All the while, hour after hour, the inexhaustible Bosmer host moved so fast the Cyrodiils struggled to keep from being left behind. A red-faced little merchant with short legs took a bad step on a rotten branch and nearly fell. His fellow provincials had to help him up. The Bosmer paused only a moment, their eyes continually darting to the shadows in the trees above, before moving on at their usual expeditious pace.
What are they so nervous about?
Wheezed the merchant irritably.
More Carthay rat!
Don't be ridiculous, laughed the Bosmer unconvincingly.
Khajiit this far into Valenwood? In times of peace? They never dare.
When the group passed high enough above the swamp that the smell was somewhat dissipated, Scotty felt a sudden pang of hunger. He was used to 4 meals a day and seared it a custom. Hours of non-stop exertion without food was not part of his regimen as a comfortably paid clerk. He pondered, feeling somewhat delirious. How long had they been trotting through the jungle? 12 hours? 20? A week? Time was meaningless. Sunlight was only sporadic through the vegetative ceiling. Phosphorescent molds on the trees and in the muck below provided the only regular illumination.
Is it, Paul, at all possible for us to rest and eat?
He hollered to his host up ahead.
We're near the Falanesti,
Came the echoing reply.
Lots of food there.
The path continued upward for several hours. More crossed a clot of fallen logs, rising up to the first and then the second boughs of the tree line. As they rounded a long corner, the travelers found themselves midway up a waterfall that fell 100 feet or more. No one had the energy to complain as they began pulling up the stacks of rocks, agonizing foot by foot. The Bosmer escorts disappeared into the mist, but Scotty kept climbing until there was no more rock left. He wiped the sweat and river water from his eyes. Falanesti spread across the horizon before him. Sprawling across the banks of the river stood the mighty Grat Oak City, with groves and orchards of lesser trees crowding it like supplicants before their king. At a lesser scale, the tree that formed the moving city would be extraordinary, gnarled and twisted with a gorgeous crown of gold and green, dripping with vines and shining with sap. At 1 mile tall and half as wide, it was the most magnificent thing Scotty had ever seen. If he had not been a starving man with the soul of a clerk, he would have sunk.
There you are,
said the leader of the escorts.
Not too far walk. You should be glad it's in wintertide. In summertime, the city on the far south end of the forest.
Scotty was lost as how to proceed. The sight of the vertical metropolis, where people moved about like ants, disoriented all his sensibilities.
You wouldn't know of an inn called...
He paused for a moment, and then pulled Juris's letter from his pocket.
Something like Mother Pasco's Tavern. Mother Pasco's?
The lead bondsman laughed his familiar contemptuous laugh.
You won't want to stay there. Visitors always prefer the Alicia Hall in the top boughs. It's expensive, but very nice. I'm meeting someone at Mother Pasco's Tavern. If you made up your mind to go, take a lift to Havel Slump and ask for directions there. Just don't get lost and fall asleep in the Western Cross.
This apparently struck the youth's friend as a very witty jest, so it was with their laughter. Echoing behind him, that Scotty crossed the writhing root system to the base of the Falanesti. The ground was littered with leaves and refuse, and from moment to moment a glass or a bone would plummet from far above, so he walked with his neck crooked to have warning. An intricate network of platforms anchored to the thick vines slipped up and down the slick trunk of the city with perfect grace, manned by operators with arms as thick as an ox's belly. Scotty approached...
Sorry.
Scotty approaches the nearest fellow at one of the platforms, who was idly smoking from a glass pipe.
I was wondering if you might take me to Havelslump.
The bear nodded, and within a few minutes' time, Scotty was 200 feet in the air, at a crook behind 2 mighty branches. Curled webs of moss stretched unevenly across the fork, forming a sharing roof for several dozen small buildings. There were only a few souls in the alley, but around the bend ahead he could hear the sound of music and people. Scotty tipped the Felinesti platform ferryman a gold piece and asked for the location of Mother Pascoe's tavern.
Straight ahead of you, sir. But you won't find anyone there.
The ferryman explained, pointing in the direction of the noise.
Mourn thus everyone and have a slump as revelry.
Scotty walked carefully along the narrow street. Though the ground felt as solid as the marble avenues of the Imperial City, there were slick cracks in the bark that exposed fatal drops to the river. He took a moment to sit down, to rest, and get used to the view from the heights. It was a beautiful day for certain, but it took Scotty only a few minutes of contemplation to rise up in alarm. A jolly little raft anchored downstream below him had distinctly moved several inches while he watched it, but it hadn't moved at all. He had together with everything around him. It was no metaphor. The city of Falinesti walked, and considering its size, it moved quickly. Scotty rose to his seat and into a cloud of smoke that drifted out from around the bend. It was the most delicious roast he had ever smelled. The clerk forgot his fear and ran. The revelry, as the ferryman had termed it, took place on an enormous platform tied to the tree, wide enough to be a plaza in any other city. A fantastic assortment of the most amazing people Scotty had ever seen were jammed shoulder to shoulder together, many eating, many more drinking, and some dancing, to a lutist and singer perched on an offshoot above the crowd. They were largely Bosma, true natives clad in colorful leather and bones, with a close minority of orcs. Whirling through the throng, dancing and bellowing one another, were hideous ape people. A few heads bobbing over the tops of the crowd belonged not, as Scotty first assumed, to very tall people, but to a family of centaurs?
Centaurs? What? There's centaurs in Elder Scrolls? I didn't know that. Well, okay, wait, no, I did know that, but I was not expecting that.
Care for some mutton?
Queried a wizened old mare who roasted an enormous beast on some red-hot rocks. Scotty quickly paid him a gold piece and devoured the leg he was given, and then another gold piece, and another leg. The fellow chuckled when Scotty began choking on a piece of gristle and handed him a mug of frothing white drink. He drank it and felt a quiver run through his body as if he were being tickled.
What is that?
Scotty asked.
Draga, fermented pig's milk. I can let you have a flagon of it if and a bit more mutton for another gold.
Scotty agreed, paid, gobbled down the meat, and took the flagon with him as he slipped into the crowd. His co-worker, Leodis Judas, the man who had told him to come to Valenwood, was nowhere to be seen. When the flagon was a quarter empty, Scotty stopped looking for Judas. When it was half empty, he was dancing with the group, oblivious to the broken planks and gaps in the fence work. At 3/4 empty, he was trading jokes with a group of creatures whose language was completely alien to him. By the time the flagon was completely drained, he was asleep, snoring, while the revelry continued all around his supine body. The next morning, still asleep, Scotty had the sensation of someone kissing him. He made a face to return the favor, but a pain like fire spread through his chest and forced him to open his eyes. There was an insect the size of a large cat sitting on him, crushing him, its spiking legs holding him down while a central spiral-bladed vortex of a mouth tore through his shirt. He screamed and thrashed, but the beast was too strong. It had found its meal and it was going to finish it. It's over, thought Scotty wildly. I should have never left home. I should have stayed in the city. I perhaps would have found work with Lord Vivec. I could have begun again as a junior clerk and worked my way back up. Suddenly the mouth released itself. The creature shivered once, expelled a burst of yellow bile, and died. "Got one!" cried a voice not too distantly. For a moment Scotty lay still. His head throbbed and his chest burned.
Out of the corner of his eye, scurried towards him. He scrambled, trying to push himself free, but before he could come out, there was a sound of a bow cracking, and an arrow pierced the second insect.
Ah, good shot!
Cried another voice.
Get the first one again. I just saw it move a little.
This time, Scotty felt the impact of the bolt hit the carcass. He cried out, but he could hear how muffled his voice was by the beetle's body. Cautiously, he tried sliding a foot out and rolling under, but the movement apparently had the effect of convincing the archers that the creature still lived. A volley of arrows was launched forth. Now the beast was sufficiently perforated so pools of its blood, and likely the blood of its victim, began to seep out onto Scotty's body. When Scotty was a lad, before he grew too sophisticated for such sports, he had often gone to the Imperial arena for the competitions of war. He recalled a great veteran of the fights. When asked, telling him of his secret, "Whenever I'm in doubt of what to do, and I have a shield, I stay behind it." Scotty followed that advice. After an hour, when he no longer heard arrows being fired, he threw aside the remains of the bug and leapt as quickly as he could to a stand. It was not a moment too soon. A gang of 8 archers had their bows pointing in his direction, ready to fire. When they saw him, they laughed.
Ah, didn't anyone ever tell you not to sleep in the Western Cross? How are we going to exterminate all the herbivores if you drunks keep feeding them?
Scotty shook his head and walked back along the platform, round the bend to Havelslump. He was bloodied and torn and tired, and he had far too much fermented pig's milk. All he wanted was a proper place to lie down. He stepped into Mother Pazkov's tavern, a dank place, wet with sap, smelling of mildew.
My name is Takuma Scotty,
He said.
I was hoping you'll have someone named Vtuber staying here.
Takuma Scotty, pondered the fleshy proprietress, Mother Prescott herself. I've heard that name. You must be the fellow he left the note for. Let me go see if I can find it.
Oh, next part. Fleshy. She's plump. She's thick.
Mother Pascal disappeared into the sordid hole that was her tavern, and emerged a moment later with a scrap of paper with Leotis Jervis's familiar scrawl. Takuma Scotty held it up before a patch of sunlight that had found its way through the massive boughs of the Tree City, and read,
Scotty! So you made it to Father Nasty Firewood! Congratulations! I'm sure you had quite an adventure getting here. Unfortunately, I'm not here no more, and you probably guessed there are times down river called a shit on my get a boat and join me! And I did. I hope you bought a lot of contract, cause the people need a lot of burn done. They were close to a war, you see, but not so close they don't have any men left to pay. Haha. Meet me down here as soon as you can. Jonas! Bye bye! See you later, bye bye!
So, Scotty pondered. Juris had left Valinesti and gone to some place called Athy. Given his poor penmanship and ghastly spelling, it could equally well be Athy, Ephi, Olthi, Imthri, Eartha, or Karakamaka. The sensible thing to do, Scotty knew, was to call this adventure over and try to find some way to get back home to the Imperial City. He was no mercenary devoted to a life of thrills. He was, or at least had been, a senior clerk at a successful private building commission. Over the last few weeks he had been robbed by the Catharat, taken on a death march through the jungle by a gang of giggling Bosmeri, half starved to death, drugged with fermented pig's milk, nearly slain by some kind of giant tick, and attacked by archers. He was filthy, exhausted, and had, he counted, 10 gold pieces to his name.
Now the man whose proposal brought him to the depths of misery was not even there. It was both judicious and seemingly to abandon the enterprise entirely. And yet, a small but distinct voice in his head told him, "You have been chosen. You have no other choice but to see this through." Scotty turned to the stout old woman, Mother Pascost, who had been watching him curiously.
I was wondering if you knew of a village that was at the edge of the recent conflict with elsewhere. It's called something like Athi.
"Ah, you must mean Athi." She's southern. Oops. "You must mean Athi." "You must mean Athi." She grinned. "My middle lad, Ridley, he manages a dairy down there. Beautiful country, right on the river. Is that where your friend went?"
Yes, said Scotty. Do you know the fastest way to get there?
After a short conversation, an even shorter ride to Valinesti's roots by the way of the platforms, and a jog to the riverbank, Scotty was negotiating transport with a huge fair-haired Bosma with a face like a pickled cup. He called himself Captain Balfix, but even Scotty with his sheltered life could recognize him for what he was. A retired pirate for hire. A smuggler for certain, and probably much worse. His ship, which had clearly been stolen in the distant past, was a bent old imperial sloop.
50 gold, and we'll be in Athi in 2 days' time,
boomed Captain Balfix expensively.
I have 9 gold pieces,
replied Scotty, and feeling the need for explanation, added,
I had 10, but I gave one to the platform ferryman to get me down here. 9 is just as fine,
said the captain agreeably.
Truth be told, I was going to Athi whether you paid me or not. Make yourself comfortable on the boat. We'll be leaving in just a few minutes.
Decum and Scotty boarded the vessel, which sat low in the water of the river, stacked high with crates and sacks that spilled out of the hold and galley and onto the deck. Each was marked with stamps advertising the most innocuous substances: copper scraps, lard, ink, high rock metal marked for cattle, tar, fish, jelly. Scotty's imagination reeled, picturing what sorts of illicit imports were truly aboard. It took more than those few minutes for Captain Balfix to haul in the rest of his cargo, but in the hour the anchor was up and they were sailing downriver towards Athi. The green-grey water barely rippled, only touched by the fingers of the breeze. Lush plant life crowded the banks, obscuring from sight all the animals that sang and roared at one another. Lulled by the serene surroundings, Scotty drifted to sleep. At night, he awoke and gratefully accepted some clean clothes and food from Captain Balfix.
Why are you going to Athi, if I may ask? Queried the bossman. I'm meeting a former colleague there. He asked me to come down from the Imperial City, where I work for the Atreus Building Commission, to negotiate some contracts.
Scotty took another bite of the dried sausages they were sharing for dinner.
We're going to try and repair and refurbish whatever bridges, roads, and other structures that got damaged in the recent war with the Khajiit. Oh, it's been a hard 2 years.
The captain nodded his head.
Though I suppose good for me and the likes of you and your friend trade routes cut off. Now they think they're going to be war with the Somerset Isles. You heard that?
Scotty shook his head.
I've done my share of smuggling skooma down the coast, even helping some revolutionary types escape the Maine's wrath. But the now wars made me a legitimate trader, a businessman. The first casualties of war is always the corrupted.
Scotty said he was sorry to hear that, and they lapsed into silence, watching the stars and moon's reflections on the still water. The next day, Scotty awoke to find the captain wrapped up in his sail, torpid from alcohol, singing in a low, slurred voice. When he saw Scotty rise, he offered his flagon of Jaga.
I learned my lesson during revelry at Western Cross.
The captain laughed, and then burst into tears.
I don't want to be legitimate. Other pirates I used to know are still raping and stealing and smuggling and selling nice folk like you into slavery. I swear to you, I never thought the first time that I ran a real shipment of legal goods that my life would turn out like this. Oh, I know I could go back to it, but Vandaro is not after all I've seen. I'm a ruined man.
Scotty helped the weeping mare out of the sail, murmuring words of reassurance. Then he added,
Forgive me for changing the subject, but, where are we? Oh,
moaned Captain Balafix miserably.
We made good time. As they run around the bend in the river. Then, it looks like Ethe's on fire,
said Scotty, pointing. A great plume of smoke, black as pitch, was rising above the trees. As they drifted around the bend, they next saw the flames and then the blackened skeletal remains of the village. Dying, blazing villagers leapt from rocks into the river. A cacophony of wailing met their ears, and they could see, roaming along the edges of the town, figures of Khajiit soldiers bearing torches.
Oh, Manda, bless me! Slurred the captain. The war is back on, baby!
Oh no, whimpered Scotty. The sloop drifted with the current toward the opposite shore, away from the fiery town. Scotty turned his attention there, and the sanctuary it offered. Just a peaceful arbor, away from the horror. There was a shudder of leaves in 2 of the trees, and a dozen lithe Khajiit dropped to the ground, armed with bows.
They see us,
hissed Scotty.
and they've got bows. Of course they have bows,
snarled Captain Balafix.
We Bosman may have invented the bloody things, but we didn't think to keep them secret, you bloody bureaucrat! Oh, they're setting their bows on fire! Well, they do that sometimes. Captain, they're shooting at us! They're shooting at us with flaming arrows! Oh, they are.
The captain agreed.
And I am here to avoid being hit.
But hit they were, and very shortly thereafter. Even worse, the second volley of arrows hit the supply of the pitch, which ignited in tremendous blue blaze. Scotty grabbed Captain Balafix and leapt overboard just before the ship and all its cargo disintegrated. The shock of the cold water brought the Bosmer into temporary sobriety. He called to Scotty, who was already swimming as fast as he could towards the bend.
Master Jakumish, where do you think you're swimming to?
Back to Fallen Esther! Cried Scotty.
It will take you days, and by the time you get there, everyone will know about the attack on the Thay. They will never let anyone they don't know in. The closest river the closest village is down the river. It's Granos. Maybe they'll give us shelter.
Scotty swam back to the captain. Side by side, they began paddling in the middle of the river, past the burning residuum of the village. He thanked Mara that they had learned to swim.
Many as Cyrodiil did not, as largely landlocked as the imperial province was. He had been raised in Mirkrop or at Artemon. He might have been doomed, but the imperial city itself was encircled by water, and every lad and lass there knew how to cross without a boat. Even those who grew up to be clerks and not adventurers. Captain Balvic's sobriety faded as he grew used to the water's temperature. Even in wintertide, the Xylo River was fairly temperate, and after a fashion even more comfortable. The Bosmer strokes were uneven, and he'd stray closer to Scotty and then further away, pushing ahead and then falling behind. Scotty looked to the shore to his right. The flames had caught that tree like tinder. Behind them was an inferno, which they were barely keeping pace. To the shore on their left, all looked fair until he saw a tremble in the river reeds, and then what caused it. A pride of the largest cats he had ever seen. They were auburn-haired, green-eyed beasts, with jaws and teeth to match his wildest nightmares, and they were watching the two swimmers and keeping pace.
Captain Balvix, we can't go to either that shore or the other one, or we'll be parboiled or eaten, Scotty whispered. Try to even your kicking and your strokes. Breathe like you would normally. If you're feeling tired, tell me and we'll float on our backs for a while.
Anyone who has had the experience of giving rational advice to a drunkard would understand the hopelessness. Scotty had kept pace with the captain, slowing himself, quickening, drifting left and right, while the Bosmer moaned old ditties from his pirate days. When he wasn't watching his companion, he watched the cats on the shore. After a stretch, he turned to the right. Another village had caught fire. Undoubtedly, it was Granos. Scotty stared at the blazing fury, awed by the sight of the destruction, and did not hear that the captain had ceased to sing. When he turned his back, Captain Balvix was gone. Scotty dove into the murky depths of the river over and over again. There was nothing to be done. When he surfaced after his final search, he saw that the giant cats had moved on, perhaps assuming that he too had drowned. He continued his lonely swim downriver. A tributary, he noted, had formed a final barrier, keeping the flames from spreading further, but there were no more towns. After several hours, he began to ponder the wisdom of going ashore. Which shore was the question? He was spared the decision. Ahead of him was a rocky island with a bonfire. He did not know if he were intruding on a party of Bosmeria Khajiit, only that he could swim no more. With straining, aching muscles, he pulled himself onto the rocks. They were Bosmer refugees, he gathered, even before they told him. Roasting over the fire were the remains of the giant cats that had been stalking him through the jungle on the opposite shore.
Sensi Tiger. What kind of voice do I do here? It's a Bosmer. Bosmer? Sensi Tiger, said one of the young warriors ravenously. It's no animal. It's as smart as any cat or rat or Olmes or any other bleeding Khajiit. Pity this one drowned. I would have gladly killed it. You like the meat though, sweet from all the sugar these asses eat. Oh gosh.
Scotty did not know if he was capable of eating a creature as intelligent as a man or mare, but he surprised himself, as he had done several times over the last days. It was rich, succulent, and sweet, like sugared pork, but no seasonings had been added. He surveyed the crowd as he ate, a sad lot, some still weeping for lost family members. They were the survivors of both the villages of Granos and Athay. and war was on every person's lips. Why had the Khajiit attacked again? Why, specifically directed at Scotty as a Cyrodiil? Why was the Emperor not enforcing peace in his provinces?
Oh,
I was to meet another Cyrodiil.
He said to a Bosma maiden, who he understood to be from Athe.
His name was Leodes Juris. I don't suppose you know what might have happened to him.
I don't know your friend, but there were many Cyrodiils in the Thay when the fire came,
Said the girl.
Some of them, I think, left quickly. They were going to Vidinsi, inland, in the jungle. I am going there tomorrow. So are many of us. If you wish, you may come as well.
Dukuma Scotti nodded solemnly. He himself, as comfortable as he could in the stony ground of the river island, and somehow, after much effort, he fell asleep. But he did not sleep well.
Wow! That was a very eventful edition of it. He just ate a Khajiit. Khajiit are sweet. What do you think of that? What do you think of that sweet Khajiit? Sweet. What an adventure! We are on volume 3. we still have 4 more to go. Ha, mate. Mate, my nose. Ooh. Okay, alright, I'm better. What happened to my track? Oh, there we go. Does Mulder taste like corn? I wonder. It's not cannibalism if they're a different race. I guess so. It's like eating a monkey. Well, I guess no, because they're more intelligent than monkeys, though. Elder Scrolls in game books are always interesting. It depends. Sometimes I feel like in the later games I didn't care as much, but I really like the books in Morrowind. All right, ready? Here we go. Monkeys aren't sweet. Have you eaten monkey?
18 Bosmeri and 1 Cyrodiilic, former senior clerk for an Imperial Building Commission, trudged through the jungle westward from the Xylo River to the ancient village of Indisi. For the Kumas Scotti, the jungle was hostile, unfamiliar ground. The enormous vermiculated trees filled the bright morning with darkness and resembled nothing so much as grasping claws, bent on impeding their progress. Even the fronds of the low plants quivered with malevolent energy. What was worse, he was not alone in his anxiety. His fellow travelers, the natives who had survived the Khajiit attacks on the village of Granos Nathe, wore faces of undisguised fear. There was something sentient in the jungle, and not merely the mad but benevolent indigenous spirits. In his peripheral vision, Scotty could see the shadows of the Khajiit following the refugees, leaping from tree to tree. When he turned to face them, the lithe forms vanished into the gloom as if they had never been there. But he knew he had seen them too, and the Bosmeri saw them too, and quickened their pace.
I've read this book before. Yeah, and then the Nord, I remember what happens to him. I'll read it for you, though, in case you haven't heard it before.
And quicken their pace. After 18 hours, bitten raw by insects, scratched by 1,000 thorns, they emerged into a valley clearing. It was night, but a row of blazing torches greeted them, illuminating the leather-wrought tents and jumbled stones of the hamlet of Andisi. At the end of the valley, the torches marked a sacred site, a gnarled bower of trees pressed close together to form a temple. Wordlessly, the Bosmeri walked the torch arcade towards the trees. Scotty followed them. When they reached the solid mass of living wood, with only one gaping portal, Scotty could see a dim blue light glowing within. A low, sonorous moan from 100 voices echoed within. The Bosmeri maiden he had been following held out her hand, stopping him. "You do not understand, but no outsider, not even a friend, may enter," she said. "This is a holy place." Scotty nodded and watched the refugees march into the temple, heads bowed. Their voices joined with the ones within. When the last wood elf had gone inside, Scotty turned his attention back to the village. There must be food to be had somewhere. A tendril of smoke and a faint whiff of roasting venison beyond the torchlight led him. There were 5 Cyrodiils, 2 Bretons, and a Nord. The group gathered round a campfire of glowing white stones, pulling steaming strips of meat from the cadaver of a great stag. At Scotty's approach they rose up, all but the Nord, who was distracted by his hunk of animal flesh.
Good evening. Sorry to interrupt, but I was wondering if I might have a little something to eat. I'm afraid I'm rather hungry after walking all day with some refugees from Glenos and Athe.
They bade him to sit down and eat and introduce themselves.
"So the war's back on, it seems,"
said Scotty amiably.
Best things for these effort do-nothings. Best things for these effort do-nothings,
replied the Nor in between bites.
"I've never seen such a lazy culture. Such a lazy culture."
So I give him an origin. I have never seen such a lazy culture.
I've never seen such a lazy culture. Now they've got the Khajiit, striking them on the land, and the high elves at sea. If there are any provinces that deserve a little distress, it's damnable Valleywood. I don't see how they're so offensive to you, laughed one of the Bretons.
Too real. The accent might actually fit well.
They're congenital thieves, even worse than the Khajiit, because they are so blessed meek in their aggression.
The Nord spat out a gob of fat which sizzled on the hot stones of the fire.
They spread their force into the territory that doesn't belong to them, slowly infiltrating their neighbors, and they're puzzled when elsewhere shoves back at them. They're all villains of the worst order. And what are you doing here?
Asked Scotty.
I'm a diplomat from the court of Gehenna,
muttered the Nord, returning to his food.
And what about you? What are you doing here?
Asked one of the Cyrodiils.
I work for Lord Atreus' building commission in the Imperial City,
said Scotty.
One of my former colleagues suggested that I come down to Valleywood. He said the war was over and I could contract a great deal of business for my firm rebuilding what was lost. One disaster after another, and I've lost all my money. I'm in the middle of a rekindling of a war, and I cannot find my former colleague.
Your former colleague? Remembered one of the Cyrodiils, who had introduced himself as Reglius.
He wasn't by any chance named Leonis Julius, was he? You know him? He lured me down to Valleywood in nearly the exact same circumstances, smiled Reglius grimly. I worked for your employer's competitor, Lord Vivec's men, when Leonis Julius also formerly worked. He wrote to me, asking that I represent an Imperial building commission and contract some post-war construction. I had just been released from my employment, and I thought that if I brought some new business, I could get my job back. Julius and I met in Athe, and he said he was going to arrange a very lucrative meeting with the Sylvanar.
Scotty was stunned.
Where is he now? I'm no theologian, so I couldn't say. Wrigley shrugged. He's dead. When the Khajiit attacked Athe, they began torching the harbor where Drubus was readying his boat. Or I should say, my boat, since it was purchased with the gold I brought. By the time we were even aware of what was happening, enough to flee, everything by the water was ash. The Khajiit may be animals, but they know how to arrange an attack. I think they followed us through the jungle to Vindisi, said Scotty nervously. There was definitely a group of something jumping along the treetops. Oh, probably some of them monkey folk, snorted the Nord. Nothing to be concerned about. When we came to Vindisi and the Bosmeri all entered that tree, they were furious, whispering something about unleashing an ancient terror on their enemies.
The Breton shivered, remembering.
They've been there ever since, for over a day and a half now. If you want something to be afraid of, that's the direction to look.
The other Breton, who was a representative of the Daggerfall Mages Guild, was staring off into the darkness, while his fellow provincial spoke.
Off-camera death is never truly a death. Yeah, he's coming back. While his fellow provincial spoke.
Maybe, but there's something in the jungle too, right at the edge of the village looking in. Some more refugees, maybe?
Asked Scotty, trying to keep the alarm out of his voice.
Not unless they're traveling through the trees now,
whispered the wizard. The Nord and one of the Cyrodiils grabbed a long tarp of wet leather and pulled it across the fire, instantly extinguishing it, without so much as a sizzle. Now Scotty could see the intruders, their elliptical yellow eyes and long, cruel blades catching the torchlight. He froze with fear, praying that he, too, was not so visible to him. He felt something bump against his back, and he gasps! Regulus's voice hissed from up above.
Be quiet for our sake and climb up here.
Scotty grabbed hold of the knotted double vine that hung down from a tall tree at the edge of the dead campfire. He scrambled up it as quickly as he could, holding his breath lest any grunt of exertion escape him. At the top of the vine, high above the village, was an abandoned nest from some great bird in a trident-shaped branch. As soon as Scotty had pulled himself into the soft, fragrant straw, Regulus pulled up the vine. No one else was there, and when Scotty looked down, he could see no one below. No one, that is, except the Khajiit, slowly moving toward the glow of the temple tree.
Thank you,
whispered Scotty, deeply touched at the competitor that had helped him. He turned away from the village and saw the tree's upper branches brushed against the mossy rock walls that surrounded the valley below.
How are you with climbing? You're mad, said Regulus under his breath. We should stay here until I leave. If they burn down Vindisi like they did Athene Grenros, we'll be dead sure as if we were on the ground.
Scotty began the slow, careful climb up the tree, testing each branch.
Can you see what they're doing? I can't really tell.
Regulus stared down into the gloom.
They're at the front of the temple. I think they also have, it looks like long ropes trailing off behind them, off into the pass.
Scotty crawled into the strongest branch that pointed toward the wet, rocky face of the cliff. It was not a far jump at all. So close, in fact, that he could smell the moisture and feel the coolness of the stone. But it was a jump nevertheless, and in his history as a clerk, he had never before leapt from a tree 100 feet off the ground to a sheer rock. He pictured in his mind's eye the shadows that had pursued him through the jungle from the heights above, how their legs coiled to spring, how their arms snapped forward in an elegant fluid motion to grasp. He leapt. His hands grappled for rock, but long, thick cords of moss were more accessible. He held hard, but when he tried to plant his feet forward, they slipped up skyward. For a few seconds, he found himself upside down before he managed to pull himself into a more conventional position. There was a narrow outcropping jutting out of the cliff where he could stand and finally exhale.
Regulus! Regulus! Regulus!
Scotty did not dare to call out. In a minute there was a shaking of branches, and Lord Vivec's man emerged. First his satchel, then his head, then the rest of him. Scotty started to whisper something, but Regulus shook his head violently and pointed downward. One of the Khajiit was at the base of the tree, peering at the remains of the campfire. Regulus awkwardly tried to balance himself on the branch, but as strong as it was exceedingly difficult with one free hand. Scotty cupped his palms and then pointed at the satchel. It seemed to pain Regulus to let it out of his grasp, but he relented and tossed it to Scotty. There was a small, almost invisible hole in the bag, and when Scotty caught it, a single gold coin dropped out. It rang as it bounced against the rock wall. On the descent, a soft sound that seemed like the loudest alarm Scotty had ever heard. Then, many things happened very quickly. The Ketharat at the base of the tree looked up and gave a loud wail. The other Khajiit followed in chorus as the cat below crouched down and then sprung up into the lower branches. Regulus saw it below him, climbing up with impossible dexterity, and panicked. Even before he jumped, Scotty could tell that he was going to fall. With a cry, Regulus the clerk plunged to the ground, breaking his neck on impact. A flash of white fire erupted from every crevice of the temple, and the moan of Bosmeri prayer changed into something terrible and otherworldly. The climbing Ketharat stopped and stared.
Kiriko!
It gasped.
The Wild Hunt!
It was as if a crack in reality had opened wide. A flood of horrific beasts, tentacled toads, insects of armor and spine, gelatinous serpents, vaporous beings with the face of gods, all poured forth from the great hollow tree, blind with fury. They tore the Khajiit in front of the temple to pieces. All the other cats fled for the jungle, but as they did so, they began pulling on the ropes they carried. In a few seconds' time, the entire village of Vindisi was boiling with the lunatic apparitions of the Wild Hunt. Over the babbling, barking, howling horde, Scotty heard the Cyrodiils in hiding cry out as they too were devoured. The Nord too was found and eaten, and both Bretons. The wizard had turned himself invisible, but the swarm did not rely on their sight. The tree the Ketharat was in began to sway and rock from the impossible violence beneath it. Scotty looked at the Khajiit's fear-struck eyes and held out one of the cords of moss. The cat's face showed its pitiful gratitude as it leapt for the vine. It didn't have time to entirely replace that expression when Scotty pulled back the cord and watched it fall. The hunt consumed it to the bone before it struck the ground.
Damn. Get him, Scotty.
Scotty's own jump up to the next outcropping of rock was immeasurably more successful. From there he pulled himself to the top of the cliff and was able to look down into the chaos that had been the village of Vindisi. The hunt's mass had grown and began to spill out through the pass, out the valley, pursuing the fleeing Khajiit. It was then that the madness truly began. In the moon's light from Scotty's vantage, he could see where the Khajiit had attached their ropes. With a thunderous boom, an avalanche of boulders poured over the pass. When the dust cleared, he saw the valley had been sealed. The Wild Hunt had nowhere to turn but on itself. Scotty turned his head, unable to bear to look upon the cannibalistic orgy. The night jungle stood before him, a web of wood. He slung Regulus' satchel over his shoulder and entered.
Damn. Very cold. Hey man, he killed him. It's his fault. Man, that got intense. Yeah.
Soap! What?
Oh, I exhaled so hard it hurts my lungs. Oh my gosh. Soap? Huh? Wait, soap? Is this a Khajiit? Soap! The forest will catch long. Straight and stupid and a stupid cow.
The voice boomed out so suddenly that the Kuma Scotty jumped. He stared off into the dim jungle glade from which he only heard animal and insect calls, and the low whistling of wind moments before. It was a queer, oddly accented voice of indiscriminate gender, tremulous in its modulations, but unmistakably human. Or at very least, elven. Oh!
Wait. Elven, okay. So it would not be that I did a Khajiit voice, so it'd be like how'd it go? Okay.
An isolated Bosmer, perhaps with a poor grasp of the Cyrodiilic language. After countless hours of plodding through the dense knots of Valenwood jungle, any voice of slight familiarity sounded wondrous.
Hello?
He cried.
How you... Hello? Beetles on any names? Certainly yesterday, yes! Certainly yesterday, yes!
The voice called back.
Who, what, and when, and mice?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Replied Scotty, turning toward the bramble tree, thick as a wagon, where the voice had issued.
But you needn't be afraid of me. My name is Takuma Scotty. I'm a Cyrodiil from the Imperial City. I came to help rebuild Valenwood after the war, you see, and now I'm rather lost.
Gemstones and grilled slaves. The war.
Moaned the voice, and broke into sobs.
You know about the war? I wasn't sure. I wasn't even sure how far away from the border I am now.
Scotty began slowly walking towards the tree. He dropped Regulus's satchel to the ground and held out his empty hands.
I'm unarmed. I only want to know the way to the closest town. I'm trying to meet my friend, Leodius Juris in Sylvanar.
Oh, Sylvanar!
The voice laughed. It laughed even louder as Scotty circled the tree.
Worms and wine, worms and wine. Sylvanar sings for worms and wine.
There was nothing to be found anywhere around the tree.
I don't see you. Why are you hiding?
In frustration born of hunger and exhaustion, he struck the trunk. A sudden shiver of golden red erupted from a hollow nook above, and Scotty was surrounded by 6 winged creatures, scarcely more than a few inches long. Bright crimson eyes were set on either side of tunnel-like protuberances. The animals always opened mouths. They were legless, and their thin, rapidly beating arcate wings seemed poorly constructed to transport their fat, swollen bellies. And yet they darted through the air like sparks from a fire. Whirling about the poor clerk, they began chattering what he now understood to be perfect nonsense.
Oh, wines and worms, how far from the border I am! Academic garnishments and last Leotis Judas!
Oh, wait. So wait, these are the bugs saying this. Wine and worms, how far from the border am I? Academic garnishments and the last Leotis duties. I And the phenomenon, smoking flames in the closest town is dear oblivion. Sorry about me, an indigo nimbus, but you need a bit of for me. Why are you hiding? Why are you hiding? Before I begin to friend up Lady Tunika. They're imitating him, yeah.
Furious with the mimics, Scotty swung his arms, driving them up to the tree tops. He stumbled back to the clearing and opened up the satchel again, as he had done some hours before. There was still, unsurprisingly, nothing useful in the bag, and nothing to eat in any corner or pocket. A goodly amount of gold. He smiled grimly as he had done before at the irony of being financially solvent in the jungle. A stack of neat blank contracts from Lord Vivec's building commission, some thin cord, and an oiled leather coat for bad weather. At least, Scotty considered, he had not suffered rain. Of course, then, a rolling moan of thunder reminded Scotty of what he had suspected for some weeks now. He was cursed. Within an hour's time, he was wearing the cloak and clawing his way through mud. The trees, which had earlier allowed no sunlight in, provided no shelter either against the pounding storm and wind. The only sounds that pierced the pelting of the rain were the flying, mocking calls of the flying creatures, flitting just above, babbling their nonsense. Scotty bellowed at them, threw rocks, but they seemed enamored of his company. While he was reaching to grab a promising looking stone to hurl at his tormentors, Scotty felt something shift beneath his feet. Wet but solid ground suddenly liquefied and became a rolling tide, rushing him forward. Light as a leaf, he flew head over feet overhead until the mud flow dropped and continued downward, plunging down into a river 25 feet below. The storm passed quite as instantly as it had arrived. The sun melted the dark clouds and warmed Scotty as he swam for the shore. There, another sign of Khajiiti incursion into Valenwood greeted him. A small fishing village had stood there once, so recently extinct that it smoldered like a still-warmed corpse. Dirt cairns that would once house fish by the smell of them had been ravaged, their bounty turned to ash. Rafts and skiffs lay broken, scuttled, half submerged. All the villagers were no more, either dead or refugees far away. Or so he presumed. Something banged against the wall of the ruins. Scotty ran to investigate.
My name is Dickoman Scotty.
Sang the first winged beast.
I'm a Cyrodiil from the Imperial City. I came here to help rebuild Valorant after the war, you see, and now I'm rather lost. I smell immaculate, Ape Neck.
A court agreed one of its companions.
I don't see you. Why are you hiding?
As they fell into chattering, Scotty began to search the rest of the village. Surely the cat had left something behind. A scrap of dried meat, a morsel of fish, sausage, anything. But they had been immaculate in their complete annihilation. There was nothing to eat anywhere. Scotty did find one item of possible use. Under the tumbled remains of a stone hut, a bow and 2 arrows made of bone. The string had been lost, likely burned away in the heat of the fire, but he pulled the cord from Reglis' satchel and restrung it. The creatures flew over and hovered nearby as he worked.
The coming of the sacred Lord is Judas. You know about the war, worms and wine. Circumscribe a golden horse, Ape Neck.
The moment the cord was taut, Scotty knocked an arrow and swung around, pulling the string tight to his chest. The winged beast, having experience with archers before, shot off in all directions in a blur. They needn't have bothered. Scotty's first arrow dove into the ground 3 feet in front of him. He swore and retrieved it. The mimics, having likewise had experience with poor archers before, returned at once to hovering nearby and mocking Scotty. On his second shot, Scotty did much better, in pure technical terms. He remembered how the archers in Falinesti looked when he pulled himself out from under the Horvar tick, and they were all taking aim at him. He extended his left hand, right hand, and right elbow in a symmetrical line, drawing the bow so his hand touched his jawline, and he could see the creature in his sight, like the arrow was a finger he was pointing with. The bolt missed the target by only 2 feet, but it continued on its trajectory, snapping when it struck a rock wall. Scotty walked to the river's edge. He had only 1 arrow left, and perhaps he considered it would be most practical to find a slow-moving fish and fire it on that. If he missed, at least there was less of a chance of breaking the shaft, and he could always retrieve it from the water. A rather torpid whiskered fish rolled by, and he took aim at it.
My name is the Kirispica!
One of the creatures howled, frightening the fish away.
Stupid girl! Will you dance in fire?
Scotty turned and aimed the arrow as he'd done before. This time, however, he remembered to plant his feet, as the archers had done, 7 inches apart, knees straight, left leg slightly toward the meat. To meet the angle of his right shoulder, he released the last arrow. The arrow also proved a serviceable prong for roasting the creature against the smoking hot stones of one of the ruins. The other companions had disappeared instantly after the beast was slain, and Scotty was able to dine in peace. The meat proved to be delicious. If scarcely more than a first course, he was picking the last of it from the bones, when a boat sailed into view from around the bend of the river. At the helm were Bosma's sailors. Scotty ran to the bank and waved his arms. They averted their eyes and continued past.
You bloody callous bastards!
Scotty howled.
Knaves! Hooligans! Halfpennies! Scoundrels!
A grey whiskered form came out from a hatch, and Scotty immediately recognized him as Griff Mellon, the poet translator he had met in the caravan from Cyrodiil. He peered Scotty's direction, and his eyes lit up with delight.
Tacoma Scotty! Precisely the man I want to see! I want to get your thoughts on a rather puzzling passage in the Morrowind Playbard. It begins, I went weeping into the world searching for wonders. Perhaps you're familiar with it. Oh, I'd like nothing better than to discuss the Morrowind Playbard with you, Griff.
Scotty called back.
Would you let me come aboard, though, first?
Sorry, I hit the mic. What do you mean, oh God?
Overjoyed at being on a ship bound for any port at all, Scotty was true to his word. For over an hour as the boat rolled down the river past the blackened remnants of Bosmeri villages, he asked no questions and spoke nothing of his life over the past weeks. He merely listened to Malon's theories of Merethic Aldmeri Esoterica. The translator was undemanding of his guest's scholarship, accepting nods and shrugs as civilized conversation. He even produced some wine and fish jelly, which he shared with Scotty absent-mindedly as he expounded on his various theses. Finally, when Malon was searching for a reference to some minor point in his notes, Scotty asked,
Rather off subject, but I was wondering where we're bound.
Oh, the very heart of the province, Sylvanar!
Malon said, not looking up from the passage he was reading.
It's somewhat bothersome, actually, as I wanted to go to Withered first to talk to the Bosma there, who claims to have an original copy of Diverting, if you can believe it. But for some time being, that was to wait. Somerset Isle has surrounded the city, and is in the process of starving the citizenry until they surrender. It's a tiresome prospect, since the Bosmeri are happy to eat one another, so there's a risk that at the end only one fat wood elf will remain to wave the flag.
Wait, isn't Malon a Bosmer? Is Malon a Bosmer or is he a Breton? I can't remember.
That is vexing,
agreed Scotty sympathetically.
To the east, the Khajiiti are burning everything, and to the west, the High Elves are waging war. I don't suppose the borders to the north are clear. Oh, they're even worse.
replied Malon, finger on the page, still distracted.
The Cyrodiils and Redguards don't want Bosmer refugees streaming into the provinces. It only stands to reason. I imagine how much more criminally inclined they'd be now that they're homeless and hungry.
So, murmured Scotty, feeling a shiver.
We're trapped in Valleywood.
Not at all! I need to leave fairly shortly myself, as my publisher has a very definite deadline for my new book of translations. From what I understand, one merely petitions to the Silverknights for special border protection, and one can cross into Cyrodiil with impunity.
Petition to Silverknight or petition at Silverknight?
Petition to Silverknight at Silverknight. It's an odd nomenclature that is typical of the place. The sort of thing that makes my job as a translator.
He's a Bosmeri boy. Oh my god, Bosmeri boy. He's got his Bosmeri manga. Oh! The fridge did not like that. It rattled at me.
Makes my job as a translator that much more challenging. The Silverknight, or rather, they are the closest the Bosmeri have to a great leader. The essential thing to remember about the Silverknight.
Malon smiled, finding the passage he was looking for.
Ah, here! A fortnight! Inexplicable. The worm burns into a dance. There's that metaphor again.
What were you saying about the Silverknight?
Asked Scotty.
The essential thing to remember.
Well, I don't remember what I was saying,
replied Malon, returning to his oration. In a week's time, the little boat bumped along the shallow, calmer waters of the foaming current the Xylo had become. And Akuma Scotty first saw the city of Silvenar. If Valinesti was a tree, then Silvenar was a flower, a magnificent pile of faded shades of red, blue, green, and white, shining with crystalline residue. Malon had mentioned offhand, when not otherwise explaining out merry prosody, that Silvenar had once been a blossoming glade in the forest, but owing to some spell or natural cause, the tree's sap began flowing with translucent liquor. The process of the sap flowing and hardening over the colorful trees had formed the web of the city. Malon's description was intriguing, but it hardly prepared him for the city's beauty.
Oh my gosh, that's a really cool imagery. So it's like it's got like a big crystal sap shield. ESO hate. Silvenar and ESO, some mud helps with a big tree should do it right. Hey? That's really, is that what it looks like? But this sounds so cool.
What is the finest, most luxurious tavern here?
Scotty asked one of the Bosma boatmen.
Oh, Pritala Hall.
Oh no, that's Malon.
Pritala Hall.
Malon asked her.
But why don't you stay with me? I'm visiting an acquaintance of mine, a scholar I think you'll find it fascinating. His hovel isn't much, but he has the most extraordinary ideas about the principles of Merith out-married tribe, the Sarmathi.
Under any other circumstances, I would happily accept,
said Scotty, graciously.
But after weeks of sleeping on the ground or on a raft and eating whatever I could scrounge, I feel the need for some indulgent creature comforts. And then, after a day or two, I'll petition the Silvenar for safe passage to Cyrodiil.
The men bade each other goodbye. Griff Malon gave him the address of his publisher in the Imperial City, which Scotty accepted and quickly forgot. The clerk wandered the streets of the Silvenar, crossing the bridges of amber, admiring the petrified forest architecture. In front of a particularly estimable palace of silvery reflective crystal, he found Pritala Hall. He took the finest room and ordered a gluttonous meal of the finest quality. At a nearby table he saw two very fat fellows, a man and a Bosmer, remarking how much finer the food was there than at the Silvenar's palace. They began to discuss the war and some issues of finances and rebuilding provincial bridges. The man noticed Scotty looking at them, and his eyes flashed recognition.
Scotty, is that you, Kinnereth? Where have you been? I had to make all the contact all the contacts here on my own.
At the sound of his voice, Scotty recognized him. The fat man was with Leotis Juris, vastly engorged.
Oh, almost done. What a twist! Juris, the man, the myth, the legend! Gerst. He is fat and happy. He is healthy. He is rotund. He's bite-sized. Oh, he's alive. Who would have seen that? Yeah, who could have guessed?
The Kumascati sat down, listening to Leotis Juris. The clerk could hardly believe just how fat his former colleague at Lord Atreus' building commission had become. The piquant aroma of the roasted meat dish before Scotty melted away. All the other sounds and textures of Perthala Hall vanished around him, as if nothing else existed but the vast form of Juris. Scotty did not consider himself an emotional man, but he felt a tide flow over him at the sight and sound of the man whose badly written letters had been the guidepost that carried him from the Imperial City back in early Frostfall.
Where have you been?
Juris demanded again.
I told you to meet me in front of Nest a few weeks ago. I was there weeks ago.
Scotty stammered, too surprised to be indignant.
I got your note to meet you at Zinthé, and so I went there, but the Khajiit had burned it to the ground. Somehow I found my way with the refugees in another village, and someone there told me you had been killed. And you believed that right away?
Juris sneered.
The fellow seemed very well informed about you. He was a clerk from Lord Vivec's building commission named Regulus, and he said that you had also suggested that he come down to Valenwood to profit from the war. Oh, yeah,
said Juris after thinking a moment.
I recall the name now. Well, it was good for business to have two representatives from Imperial Building Commissions here. We just need to coordinate our bids and all should be well.
Regulus is dead,
Said Scotty.
but I have his contracts from Lord Vivec's commission.
Even better!
Yes, Juris? Impressed.
I never knew you were such a ruthless competitor to Kirispica. Yes, this could certainly improve our position with the Sylvanar. Can I introduce you to Bassisir?
Scotty had only been dimly aware of the Bosmer's presence at the table with Juris, which was surprising given the mayor's girth nearly equaled his dining companion. The clerk nodded to Bass coldly, still numb and confused. It had not left his mind that only an hour earlier, Scotty had intended to petition the Sylvanar for safe passage through the border back to Cyrodiil. The thought of doing business with Juris after all, of profiting from Valenwood, war with elsewhere, and now the second one with the Somerset Isle, seemed like something happening to another person.
Second fat Bosmer in the story? He's a taco. Oh. Your colleague and I were talking about the Sylvanar,
said Bass, putting down the leg of mutton he'd been gnawing on.
I don't suppose you've heard about its nature?
A little, but nothing specific. I got the impression that he's very important and very peculiar.
He's the representative of the people, legally and physically and emotionally.
Oh wait, this is...
He's the representative of the people, legally, physically, and emotionally.
Explained Juris, a little annoyed at his new partner's lack of common knowledge.
When they're healthy, so is he. When they're mostly female, so is he. When they cry for food or play or absence of foreign interference, he feels it too and makes laws accordingly. But he's in a way, he's a despot. He's the people's despot.
That sounds...
said Scotty, searching for the appropriate word.
like bunk. Perhaps it is, shrugged Bass. But he has many rights as the voice of the people, including the granting of foreign building and trade contracts. It's not important whether you believe us. Just think of the Sylvanar as being like one of your mad emperors, like Pelagius. The problem facing us now is that since Valenwood is being attacked on all sides, the Sylvanar's aspect is now one of distrust and fear of foreigners. The one hope of his people, and nothing the people of Sylvanar himself, is that the Emperor will intervene and stop the war. Then will he? Asked Scotty. You know as well as we do that the Emperor has not been himself lately. Juris helped himself to release his satchel and pulled out the blank contracts. Who knows what he will choose to do or not to do? That reality is not our concern. But these lessons from the late good Sir Aurelius make our job much simpler. They discussed how they would represent themselves to the Sylvanar into the evening. Scotty ate continuously, but not nearly as much as Juris and Bass. When the sun had begun to rise in the hills, its light reddening through the crystal walls of the tavern, Juris and Bass left to their rooms and at the palace granted to them diplomatically in lieu of the actual immediate audience with Sylvanar. Scotty went to his room. He thought about staying up a little longer to ruminate over Juris's plans and see what might be the flaw in them, but upon touching the cool, soft bed, he immediately fell asleep. The next afternoon, Scotty awoke, feeling himself again. In other words, timid. For several weeks now, he'd been a creature bent on mere survival. He'd been driven to exhaustion, attacked by several jungle beasts, starved, nearly drowned, and forced into discussions of ancient Aldmeri poetical works. The discussion he had with Juris and Beths about how to dupe the Sylvanar into signing their contracts seemed perfectly reasonable then. Scotty dressed himself in his old, battered clothes and went downstairs in search of food and a peaceful place to think. "You're up!" cried Bast upon seeing him. "We should go to the palace now." "Now?" whined Scotty. "Look at me. I need new clothes. This isn't the way one should dress to pay a call on a prostitute, let alone the voice of the people of Valenwood. I haven't even bathed." "You must cease from this moment forward being a clerk, and become a student of mercantile trade," said Leodes Juris grandly, taking Scotty by the arm and leading him into the sunlit boulevard outside. The first rule is to recognize what you represent to the prospective client, and aim what angle best suits you. You cannot dazzle him with opulent fashion and professional bowing, my dear boy." "My dear boy? No way." "And it would be fatal if you attempted to. Trust me on this. Several others besides Bass and I are guests at his palace, and they amend ever of appearing too eager, too formal, too ready for business. They will never be granted audience with the Sylvanar. But we have remained aloof ever since the initial rejection. I've dallied about the court, spread my knowledge of my life in the Imperial City, had my ears pierced, attended promenades, and drunk of all that was given to me. I dare say I've put on a pound or two. The message we've sent is clear. It is in his, not our, best interest to meet." "Our plan worked," added Bass. "When I told his minister that our imperial representative had arrived, and that we were at last willing to meet with the Sylvanar, this morning we were told to bring you there straight away." "Aren't we late then?" asked Scotty. "Really?" laughed Judas. "But that's again part of their angle we're representing. Benevolent disinterest. Remember not to confuse the Sylvanar with conventional nobility. He is the mind of the common people. When you grasp that, you understand how to manipulate him.
Juris spent the last several minutes of the walk through the city expounding on his theories about what Valen would need and how much and at what price. They were staggering figures, far more construction and far higher cost than anything Scotty had been used to dealing with. He listened carefully. All around them the city of Sylvanar revealed itself. Glass and flower, roaring winds and beautiful inertia. When they reached the palace of Sylvanar, Decumus Scotty stopped, stunned. Juris looked at him for a moment and then laughed.
It's quite bizarre, isn't it?
That it was. A frozen scarlet burst of twisted, uneven spires, as if a rival sun rising. A blossom, the size of a village, where courtiers and servants resembled nothing so much as insects, walked about it, sucking its ichor, entering over a bent, petal-like bridge. The three walked through the palace of unbalanced walls, where the partitions bent close together and touched. There was a shaded hall or a small chamber, where they warped away from one another. There was a courtyard. There were no doors anywhere, no any way to get to the Sylvanar but by crossing through the entire spiral of the palace, through meetings and bedrooms and dining halls, past dignitaries, consorts, musicians, and many guards.
There's a mosquito. I'm in Valenwood right now.
It's an interesting place,
said Bass.
but not very much privacy. Of course, that suits the Sylvanar well.
When they reached the inner corridors, 2 hours after they first entered the palace, guards brandishing blades and bows stopped them.
We have an audience with the Sylvanar,
said Juris patiently.
This is Lord Kirispica, the Imperial representative.
One of the guards disappeared down the winding corridor and returned moments later with a tall, proud Bosmer clad in loose robe of patchwork leather. He was the Minister of Trade. The Sylvanar wishes to speak with Lord Kirispica alone. It was not the place to argue or show fear, so Scotty stepped forward, not even looking toward Juris and Bast. He was certain they were showing their masks of benevolent indifference. Following the minister into the audience chamber, Scotty recited to himself all the facts and figures Juris had presented to him. He willed himself to remember the angle and the image he must protect.
No, don't listen to them. They're crazy, please. They're stupid and fat. But I guess you were stupid enough to come here again.
The audience chamber of the Sylvanar was an enormous dome, with the walls bent from the bowl shape at the base inward to almost meet at the top. The thin ray of sunlight streamed through the fissure hundreds of feet above, directly upon the Sylvanar, who stood upon a puff of shimmering grey powder.
This is so gripping, it's crazy. Oh.
For all the wonder of the city and the palace, the Sylvanar himself looked perfectly ordinary. An average, blandly handsome, slightly tired-looking, extraordinary wood elf of the type one might see in any capital in the Empire. It was only when he stepped from the dais that Scotty noticed an eccentricity in his appearance. He was very short.
I had to speak with you alone,
said the Sylvanar in a voice common and unrefined.
May I see your papers?
Scotty handed him the blank contracts from the Lord of the next building commission. The Sylvanar studied them, running his finger over the embossed seal of the Emperor before handing them back.
Ah! Mosquito! Back off! Back off! Back off away from me! Get away! It's Fargoth! Yeah!
He suddenly seemed shy, looking to the floor.
There are many charlatans at my court who wish to benefit from the wars. I thought you and your colleagues were among them, but those contracts are genuine.
Yes, they are.
said Scotty calmly. The Sylvanar's conventional aspect made it easy for Scotty to speak, with no formal greetings.
Mosquito, yeah.
No deference, exactly as Juris is instructed.
It seems most sensible to begin straight away talking about the roads which need to be rebuilt, and then the harbors that the Altmeri have destroyed, and then I can give you my estimates on the cost of the resupplying and renovating of the trade routes.
Why hasn't the Emperor seen fit to send a representative when the war with Elsewhere began 2 years ago?
Asked the Sylvanar glumly. Scotty thought a moment before replying of all the common Bosmeri had met in Valenwood. The greedy, frightened mercenaries who had escorted him from the border, the hard-drinking revelers, and expert pest-exterminating archers in the western cross of Felinesti, nosy old Mother Pascast in Havelslund, Captain Balfix, the poor, sadly reformed pirate, the terrified but hopeful refugees of Athea and Grenos, the mad, murderous, self-devouring wild hunt of Vindisi, the silent, dour boatmen hired by Griff Malon, the degenerate, grasping Vast. If one creature represented their total disposition, and that of many more throughout the province, what would be his personality? Scotty was a clerk by occupation and nature, instinctively comfortable, cataloging and filing, making things fit in a system. If the soul of Valenwood were to be filed, where would it be put? The answer came upon him, almost before he posed himself the question. Denial.
I'm afraid that question doesn't interest me,
said Scotty.
Now, can we get back to the business at hand?
All afternoon, Scotty and the Sylvanar discussed the pressing needs of Valenwood. Every contract was filled and signed. So much was required here, and there were so many costs associated that addendums and codicils had to be scribbled into the margins of the papers, and those had to be resigned. Scotty maintains his benevolent indifference, but he found that dealing with the Sylvanar was not quite the same as dealing with a simple, sullen child. The voice of the people knew certain practical, everyday things very well. The yields of fish, the benefits of trade, the condition of every township and forest in this province.
We will have a banquet tomorrow night to celebrate this commission,
said the Sylvanar at last.
Just make it tonight,
replied Scotty.
We shall leave for Cyrodiil with the contracts tomorrow, so I'll need a safe passage to the border. We best not waste any more time.
Agreed,
said the Sylvanar, and called for the Minister of Trade to put a seal on the contracts and arrange for the feast. Scotty left the chamber and was greeted by Bast and Juris. Their faces showed the strain of maintaining the illusion of unconcern for too many hours. As soon as they were out of sight of the guards, they begged Scotty to tell them all. When he showed them the contract, Bash began weeping with delight. I got bitten by the mosquito all over my hands. I was hoping that wasn't the case. I'm bitten all over now. There's literally one mosquito in here.
Oh my god. No, that during the duration you've been listening to me, that my blood has been getting sucked.
Bess began weeping with delight.
Anything about the Sylvanar that just surprised you?
Asked Juris.
I hadn't expected him to be half my height. Was he?
Juris looked mildly surprised.
He must have shrunk since I tried to have an audience with him earlier. Maybe there's something to all that nonsense about him being affected by the plight of his people.
Or he's a child. Okay, last chapter. Here we go, we're almost done.
Scene: Sylvanar, Valenwood. Date: 13 Sun's Dusk. 3rd Era, 397. The banquet at the palace of Sylvanar was well attended by every jealous bureaucrat and trader who had attempted to contract the rebuilding of Valenwood. They looked on The Kuma Scotty, Leotis Juris, and baths with undisguised hatred. He made Scotty very uncomfortable, but Juris delighted in it. As the servant brought in platter after platter of roasted meat, Juris poured himself a cup of Jagger and toasted the clerk.
I can confess it now,
said Juris.
I had great doubts about inviting you to join me on this adventure. All the other clerks and agents of the building commission I contacted were more outwardly aggressive. None of them made it through, let alone to the elements chamber of Souvenir. Let alone broker the deal on their own like you did. Come, have a cup of Jagger with me. No, thank you,
said Scotty.
I had too much of that drug in Velinisty, and everything got sucked dry by a giant tick because of it. I'll find something else to drink.
Scotty wandered about the hall until he saw some diplomats drinking mugs of steaming brown liquid, poured from a large silver urn. He asked him if it was tea.
Tea made from leaves, scoffed the first diplomat. Not in Valenwood. This is Rodmeth.
Scotty poured himself a mug and took a tentative sip. It was gamey, bitter in sugar, and very salty. At first it seemed very disagreeable to his palate, but a moment later he found he had drained the mug and was pouring another. His body tingled. All the sounds in the chamber seemed oddly disjointed, but not frighteningly so.
So you're the fellow who got the Sylvanar to sign all those contracts,
said the second diplomat.
That must have required some deep negotiation.
Not at all. Just a little basic understanding of mercantile trading,
grinned Scotty, pouring himself a third mug of Rotmeth.
The Sylvanar was very eager to involve the Imperial State with the affairs of Valenwood. I was very eager to take a percentage of the commission. With all that blessed eagerness, it was merely a matter of putting quill to contract, bless you.
You have been in the employ of His Imperial Majesty very long?
asked the first diplomat.
It's a bite, or rather a bit more complicated than that, in the Imperial City. Between you and me, I don't really have a job. I used to work for Lord Atreus and his building commission, but I got sacked. And then the contracts are from Lord Vivec and his building commission, because I got them from his fellow Reglius, who is a competitor, but still a very fine fellow, until he was made dead by those Khajiit.
Jesus Christ, Scotty, you moron! You were so stupid. No! No! Ugh. Dude, after all this work. This is what happens when you see. This is what happens when you drink. I know. Well, when I drink, I'm sure I say stupid stuff too. But I also just vomit everywhere. That's why I don't drink.
Scotty drained his fifth mug.
When I go back to the Imperial City, and then the real negotiations can begin, bless you, I can go to my old employer and to Lord Vivec and say, look here, which of you wants these commissions? And they'll fall all over each other to take them from me. You will be bidding war for my percentage, the likes of which no one nowhere has never seen.
Oh, you're not a representative of His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor?
asked the first diplomat.
Didn't you hear what I said? You stupid?
Scotty felt a surge of rage which quickly subsided. He chuckled and poured himself a seventh mug.
The building commission are privately owned, but they're still representatives of the Emperor, so I'm a representative of the Emperor. Or I will be. When I get these contracts, it's very complicated. I can understand why you're not following me like, bless you. It's not like the poet said, a dancing fire. If you follow the illusion, then it's just the illusion. And your colleagues, are they representatives of the Emperor?
asked the second diplomat. Scotty burst into laughter, shaking his head. The diplomats bade him their respects and went to talk to the minister. Scotty stumbled out of the palace and reeled through the strange, organic avenues and boulevards of the city. It took him several hours to find his way to Perthala Hall in his room. Once there, he slept very nearly on his bed.
It's so Jover.
The next morning, he woke to Juris and bats in his room, shaking him. He felt half asleep and unable to open his eyes fully, but otherwise fine. The conversation with the diplomats floated in his mind in a haze, like an obscure childhood memory.
What in Mara's name is Rotmeth?
He asked quickly.
Roasted, strongly fermented meat. Juices with lots of spices to kill the poisons.
Or no.
Rancid, strongly fermented meat. Juices with lots of spices to kill the poisons.
Smiled Bats.
I should have warned you to stay with the dragon. You must understand the meat mandate by now,
laughed Juris.
Those both married would rather eat each other than touch the fruit of the vine or the field.
Oh, by Mara. What did I say to those diplomats?
Cried Scotty, panicking.
Nothing bad, apparently,
said Juris, pulling out the papers.
Your escorts are downstairs to bring you to the Imperial Province. Here your papers are safe passage. The Sevenar seems very impatient about your business proceedings forward rapidly. He promised to send you with some sort of rare treasure when the contracts are fulfilled. See, he's already given me something.
Juris showed off his new bejeweled earring, a beautiful large faceted ruby. That showed that he had a similar one. The two fat fellows left the room so Scotty could dress and pack.
Uh-oh. They're gonna kill him. Oh, man. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am covered in bites. Ow. Oh my gosh, they're all over me. Oh, they're so big. How did it drink through my... I'm wearing a long sleeve sweater. How did this happen? Oh my gosh, they're so big. How many? There's like... There's like 5 on my left forearm alone. Ah, go away. I'm so itchy now. And they're all like very raised and white. I'm dying. The wild hunt is devouring me. I gotta wrap this up. Okay.
A full regiment of the Sylvanar's guards was on the street in front of the tavern. They surrounded a carriage crested with the official arms of Valenwood. Still dazed, Scotty climbed in, and the captain of the guard gave the signal. They began a quick gallop. Scotty shook himself and then peered behind. Bats and Juris were waving him goodbye.
Wait!
Scotty cried.
Aren't you coming back to the Imperial Province too?
The Sylvanar asked that we stay behind as Imperial representatives,
yelled Leotis Juris.
in case there's a need for more contracts and negotiations. He's appointed us Undrape, some sort of special armor for foreigners of Cork. Don't worry, lots of banquets to attend. You can handle the negotiations with an academic agent yourself, and I'll keep things settled here.
Juris continued to yell advice about business, but his voice became indistinct with distance. Soon it disappeared altogether as the convoy rounded the stretch of Sylvanar. The jungle loomed suddenly, and they were in it. Scotty had only gone through it by foot or along rivers by slow-moving boats. Now it flashed all around him in profusions of green. The horses seemed even faster, moving through the underbrush than on the smooth paths of the city.
Oh, I think I just crumpled a mosquito. Yuck. I'm dying. Tress. What is undraped backwards? EP. Eparnu. Hi, dying. Yeah, I'm dying. I'm getting sucked dry here. Okay. Alright, here we go.
The horses seemed even faster moving through underbrush than on the smoothest paths of the city. None of the weird sounds or dank smells of the jungle penetrated the escort. It felt to Scotty as if he were watching a play about the jungle with a background of a quickly moving scrim, which offered only the merest suggestion of the place. So it went for 2 weeks. There was lots of food and water in the carriage with the clerk, so he merely ate and slept as the caravan pressed endlessly on. From time to time he'd hear the sound of blades clashing, but when he looked around, whatever attacked the caravan had long since been left behind. At last they reached the border, where an imperial garrison was stationed. Scotty presented the soldiers who met the carriage with the papers. They asked him a barrage of questions that he answered monosyllabically, and then let him pass. It took several more days to arrive at the gates of the imperial city. The horses that had flown so fast through the jungle now slowed down to the unfamiliar territory of the wooded Calovian estates. In contrast, the eries of this province's birds and smells of this province's plant life brought Takuma Scotty alive. It was as if he had been dreaming all the past months. At the gates of the city, Scotty's carriage door was open for him, and he opened out on uncertain legs. Before he had a moment to say something to the escort, they had vanished, galloping back through the forest. The first thing he did now that he was home was go to the closest tavern and have a tea and fruit and bread. If he never ate meat again, he told himself, that would suit him very nicely. Negotiations with Lord Atreus and Lord Vivec proceeded immediately thereafter. It was most agreeable. Both commissions recognized how lucrative the rebuilding of Valenwood would be for their agency. Lord Vivec claimed, quite justifiably, that as the contracts had been written on forms notarized by his commission, he had the legal right to them. Lord Atreus claimed that Takuma Scotty was his agent and representative, and that he had never been released from employment. The Emperor was called to arbitrate, but he claimed to be unavailable. His advisor, the Imperial battle mage Jagar Than, had disappeared long ago and could not be called on for his wisdom and impartial meditation. Scotty lived very comfortably off the bribes from Lord Atreus and Lord Vivec. Every week a letter would arrive from Juris or Bash asking about the status of negotiations. Gradually these letters ceased coming, and more urgent ones came from the Minister of Trade in Sylvanar himself. The War of the Blue Divide in Somerset Isle ended with Altmeria winning several new coastal islands from the Wood Elves. The war with Elsewhere continued, ravaging the eastern borders of Valenwood. Still, Vivec and Atreus fought together. Who would help? One fine morning, in the early spring of year 3rd era 398, a courier arrived at Takuma Scotty's door. Lord Vivec has won the Valenwood Commission, and requests that you and the contracts come to his hall at your earliest convenience.
Has Lord Atreus decided not to challenge further?
Asked Scotty. He's been unable to, having died very suddenly, just now, from a terribly unfortunate accident, said the courier.
Oh God. Oh no, how sad.
Scotty had wondered how long it would be before the Dark Brother was brought in for final negotiations. As he walked toward Lord Vivec's building commission, a long, severe piece of architecture on a minor but respectable plaza, he wondered if he had played the game as he ought to have. Could Vivec be so rapacious as to offer him a lower percentage of the commission now that his chief competitor was dead? Thankfully, he discovered Lord Vivec had already decided to pay Scotty what he proposed during the heat of the winter of negotiations. His advisors had explained to him that the other, lesser building commissions might come forward unless the matter were handled quickly and fairly. Glad we have all the legal issues done with, said Lord Vivec fondly.
Now we can get to the business of helping the poor boss marry and collecting the profits. It's a pity you weren't our representative for all the troubles with the Band of Mark and the Arcean business, but there will be plenty more wars, I'm sure of that.
Scotty and Lord Vivec sent word to Sylvanar that at last they were prepared to honor the contracts. A few weeks later, they held a banquet in honor of the profitable expertise enterprise. Decuma Scotty was the darling of the Imperial City, and no expense was spared to make it an unforgettable evening. As Scotty met the nobles and wealthy merchants who would be benefiting from his business dealings, an exotic but somehow faintly familiar smell rose in the bedroom. He traced it to his source, a thick roasted slab of meat, so long and thick it covered several platters. The Cyrodiilic revelers were eating it ravenously, unable to find the words to express their delight at its taste and texture.
It's like nothing I've ever had before. It's like pig-fed venison.
Is it a Khajiit?
Do you see the marbling of fat and meat? It's a masterpiece.
Scotty went to take a slice, but then he saw something embedded deep in the dried and rendered roast. He nearly collided with his new employer, Lord Vivec, as he stumbled back.
Oh wait, is it gonna have the earring? It's gonna have a ruby earring in it.
Where did this come from?
From our client, the Sylvanar, beamed his lordship some kind of local delicacy they call unthravrum.
Oh! Oh my god. Oh my god.
Scotty vomited and didn't stop for some time. It cast a rather temporary pall on the evening, but when Decuma Scotty was carried off to his manor house, the guests continued to dine. The unthrapo was the delight of all, even more so when Lord Vivec himself took a slice and found the first of 2 rubies buried within. How very clever the Bosmer to invent such a dish, the Cyrodiilic.
Huh. Interesting. Bosmer is savage? Yeah. They're monsters. They're what an ending? That was quite disturbing. Bosmers are crazy. But they also ate Khajiit, so I don't know why we would be surprised that they eat people too. All of this just tucked away inside one whole video game. Yeah, yeah. This is just a book series inside a video game. I would eat Khajiit too, though. What? You would eat cats? That doesn't bode well for me. Oh! What the? What the heck? Thank you. Thank you, White Trauma. Thank you, Mozu. I'm only good at making goofy noises. Also, Mozu, godlike VA, you can't even be bad at the thing you joke about. What do you mean? Thank you very much, White Trauma. Thank you. Whew. Thank you, Lizard Wizard. Oh my gosh, dude. Here's the price for 1 copy of A Dance in Fire. With your reading, you deserve the price of all 7 and more. But Juris has made me savvy in the art of the deal. Just don't eat me. Thank you so much. Your reading is wonderful. Hope you enjoyed. I did enjoy. Thank you very much. That's very generous of you. That's very generous of you. I can purchase my own Unthrampa now. All for me. Whole family portion just for me. That was a very entertaining read, but not gonna lie. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, the cannibals have times a year where they basically get possessed and go insane with hunger. The Bosmer are creepy. But I guess, I mean, even if they went insane with hunger, they didn't eat them. They sent them to the Imperial Seed, so Yeah. They sure got them. What a funny prank. It was a journey? It sure was. To be sure, to be sure. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're awesome at reading books, Moses. Thank you. Very interesting reading. Makes me want to journey in Valenwood now. But Todd's too busy making Star Citizen. Star Citizen? I thought it was called Starfield. Thank you, Shade. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's very kind. I mean, very generous. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, everyone's been very generous today. Jesus me, I didn't even play the game. I just read books. I just read books today. A grand 2 hours and 10 minutes on that one story, yeah. I have to do some... I think I have to wrap it up here because I am absolutely destroyed by bugs. Which I guess it made it very immersive. It made this book reading very immersive as I was being eaten by mosquitoes. Oh my gosh, I'm itching like crazy. But I'll wrap it up here. Even though we didn't get much done, we literally just read a book, but we read an entire series, okay? Listen, it's the journey, not the destination, right? That's the important part. Right now, thank you guys so much for coming today. I think I'll wrap it up here. I really appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow for Buddy's collab on Airi's channel. We're playing Phasmophobia, and then later in the day, we'll be starting the next part of Higurashi. So we completely finished the first game. We're going to be starting the second game. That's the next part. So look for, if you liked all the reading today, if you listened to a whole 3 hours of me reading, tomorrow is all going to be visual novel reading. So look forward to that. Okay. Alright, I guess I'll end it here. Thank you guys for coming. I hope to see you tomorrow. Just so you know, the Minecraft is not happening tomorrow because it's at the same time as the Phasmo. So yeah, just letting you know if you... I need to take that waiting room down. But thank you guys for coming. See you tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend! Guys, it's Friday! It's Friday! Your weekend just started. Can you believe it? You still have a whole weekend ahead of you. Can you believe that? Isn't that crazy? Okay, I'll wrap it up here. And thank you everyone for being so generous. Happy 1 month. Happy 1 month, seriously. Thank you. I'll see you later, okay? Don't let the Mozamites bite. Oyasu Mozu. Bye bye. Bye bye.